Hi, I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Andrea. Estamos súper emocionadas de estar aquí en el Hard Rock Hotel y Casino en Punta Cana para Party Poker WPT Caribbean.
Okay, what did you just say?
I said we're so excited to be here at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino for the Party Poker WPT Caribbean.
And we absolutely are. This place is amazing. There are beautiful beaches, so many fun experiences to be had. I can't wait.
But the real action is right here on the felt with a $1 million guaranteed prize pool and a shot at the WPT title.
So how would you say see you soon in Spanish?
Nos vemos pronto.
Play WPT brings true competition to online poker. Log on to Play WPT for some serious fun.
We're here at the Caribbean Poker Party in Punta Cana, and I'm joined by Party Poker Ambassador Tony Dunst. Hello, Tony.
Hello, what's going on?
You're in the middle of playing the WPT, aren't you?
Yep.
It's going quite well, isn't it?
It's going pretty well so far. I'm on my second bullet, and I just doubled up right before we went on break instead of having to re-enter, so I'm a happy guy for the moment.
It's got to be the best feeling. We're about to go on break. I'll just double me chips and put myself in a good mood.
Well, especially when that's the cutoff for re-entry, when you're like, please don't make me fire another 5,000 into this and have to play the fresh stack all over again when the blinds are so high, but fortunately that wasn't the result.
Now, you're pretty good at poker, Tony. You've had a few wins under your belt.
Okay.
How does it feel to play in a place like this with the amount of people that come and play?
Well, it's an amazing venue here at the Hard Rock. I mean, it's a massive property, massive property. We have plenty of space in here. I will say that some casinos in the world, you're kind of cramped in the poker room. It's a little uncomfortable at times. Not an issue at all. Very well catered, as you can see. Food, coffee, tea, everything you can think of is here. So they've really done an awesome job of assembling what we poker players want and need for a venue.
Is this the type of tournament that professional poker players like to play because of where it is? Does that add to it for you, or does that actually make it more difficult because of all the distractions?
Well, it's kind of a mixed bag there. Like, there's an appeal of going to that place because it's like a fun, interesting place to go, and if you get knocked out, there's still going to be some fun to do on the property or just hanging out with your friends. But conversely, if you think like, oh, I might play poker the entire time, then you also feel bad to like sort of miss out. So I don't know. It's a double-edged sword there.
Of course you want to win, but you kind of just want to go get drunk with your mates.
Yes, exactly. You know, you want to be chilling on the beach, but also you don't want to be out of the tournament. So, but you can think of it as a win-win.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because if you do win all that money,
right,
then you can just
if you
stay
don't,
for an extra couple
yeah,
of weeks.
that too. Just stay an extra week.
And I can say he's that professional that there's no gin in this coffee.
No, it's just straight
It's pure coffee.
Just pure. Legit.
This man is working.
Yeah, that's right. We are. We're 2 hours into our day, and this is going to be like 10 hours. So we are just getting started here.
Well, you enjoy yourself. I'm going to go to the bar.
Okay.
Yeah,
enjoy.
Good
Have
luck.
fun. Thank you.
Bienvenidos al Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Punta Cana, hogar del Party Poker World Poker Tour Caribbean. Soy Glory Lamotte y los invito a conocerlo. Del 19 al 23 de noviembre no te pierdas el mejor póker del mundo a través de WPT.com en inglés y códigopoker.com en español. ¡Nos vemos!
Play WPT is authentic online poker. Come and play WPT today.
Joining me is Party Poker Ambassador and absolute complete superstar, Mike Sexton. Hello, Mike.
Hi.
It's so fantastic to see you here, and what makes it even more wonderful is what just happened in Montreal.
Yeah, it's so true. I got lucky and won the WPT title up there, and I'm just over the moon about it. It's just fantastic to get my name on the Champions Cup and get to play in the WPT Tournament of Champions. And now here we are in Punta Cana, going for back-to-back wins.
I know. And do you know what? I have a feeling, Mike, this really could be your week.
Well, it's already been my week, whatever happens here. Can't complain about my luck no matter what. happens in this tournament for sure. And
It's not luck, it is pure skill when it comes to you, Mike. Trust me.
Don't buy that. Don't buy that.
It's been so many years, and you've been part of the WPT circuit for so long. I think you had so many people railing you to take down Montreal. It was great. It must have felt fantastic for you.
It really did feel good. I know the WPT crew and so many people around the world were sending me good luck wishes and all, and it really paid off. I felt the vibes, I felt the love, and thank you all for doing that. It worked out. I appreciate it.
So he treated himself by coming straight here to the Caribbean in Punta Cana.
With no sleep.
No sleep whatsoever. Straight into his next big tournament.
So
There's no rest for the wicked.
I didn't get 24 hours to enjoy my victory before I'm back battling again here.
He's a true trooper.
Right.
So what do you think? It's pretty amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. We're at the Hard Rock Casino here in Punta Cana, and I'll tell you, the resort itself was amazing, but this tournament area, the venue itself, it's fantastic. It's second to none anywhere in the world. I can tell you what, it's really a good setup.
It is, but they are calling you. You have to go back to the Felt.
Okay.
I'm sorry, no more drinking for now, Mike, but
Back
that
to
all-inclusive bar, it will still be here once you're finished.
We'll see you in the bar later.
We will see you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
It's the Caribbean Poker Party here in the Dominican Republic at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Punta Cana. And Party Poker have made sure that the competition doesn't stop on the Felt. And even though the weather could be better, it's time for the Party Poker Water Volleyball Championship. In Europe, I would have thought a bit of competition off the Felt would be right up your street. Why aren't you in there?
I'm playing for money here at pools, so, trying to make some money. Yeah, so I'm competing on the pool table, but no, honestly, I've actually got a bad arm, believe it or not. It sounds like a really bad excuse, but I don't want to overextend it. But yeah, I actually love it. I used to play for like 8 hours a time in Vegas. We used to play money matches, volleyball. So I actually love it. So it's right on my street, but I don't want to mess my arm up and be crying to everyone all week how bad my arm is.
So. You've got a lot of poker to be playing this week.
Yeah, I've got to use that, right? Use that to barrel it up. Yeah.
Well, good luck on the Felt this weekend. And wouldn't it be a great end to the interview if I just...
Push me in the pool, yeah, just let me throw my phone though. Like, that would have been brilliant.
All right, well, good luck.
I'm holding on to it now, so you can't.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Sam.
No worries, thank you, Michelle.
In the water.
Yeah, next time.
Roberto, fantastic to see you here in the Caribbean. Made it all the way from Wales.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the trip, and so far so good. My dad's with me as well, and some friends from Swansea, so they won packages.
Oh
so
wow, fantastic.
Yeah, so it's quite exciting, yeah.
Is there any last longers happening between the family members?
We just want to be good as everyone to do as well as possible, yeah.
So you're halfway through playing today. What do you think of the venue?
I mean, nothing bad to say. It's just all good. I mean, feedback from everybody is really good. As you can see, this nice big venue is tournament's looking good. It's gonna hit the guarantee and a lot more. And the all-inclusive package for me is making everyone seems to be in good spirits. Like everywhere you go, doesn't matter what time of the day it is, everybody's really happy. So yeah, it's quite exciting.
It's not just all poker, is it, Roberto? We actually teamed up earlier, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
In the volleyball water championships.
Yeah, we got whooped, but we did try. But
We won. It was fine.
we did win a game, actually.
Yeah, out of 5.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope that your poker skills are better than your volleyball skills.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
Well, you've got to get back to playing, so best of luck. It's great to see you here, Party Poker ambassador. Hopefully you can take one for the team here and take down the big
do
one.
something good here, so I'm looking forward to it.
Así se vive el World Poker Tour en el Caribe.
Para mí estar aquí es la oportunidad perfecta para escapar de la rutina diaria y venir aquí al paraíso a disfrutar de mi hobby favorito, que es jugar al póker.
The WPT Caribbean is really amazing for me.
I love this place. I love this hotel. I'm very happy for 1 week of party, vacation, and a lot of poker.
I'm here in Punta Cana, and it's a fantastic place. It's so big, so huge, that even the Dutchmen who are big can walk around without bumping their heads.
Me encanta el ambiente, me encanta el hotel, me encanta la gente.
El World Poker Tour en Hard Rock Punta Cana es una fiesta. La gente está muy feliz, está muy contenta y obviamente un torneo como este merecía una sede como esta.
For dynamic online poker, head to Play WPT. It's fun, it's free, it's playtime. Well, here we go. Final table of the Party Poker WPT Caribbean Championship event about to get underway. 6 players left fighting it out for this title. The chip leader in seat 5 is Anthony Augustino from Henderson, Nevada, the lone American at the table. And Anthony's going to open it up with a raise to 90,000. Lines are 20 and 40,000 with the 5,000 ante. In case you're wondering where Tony Dunst is, he is playing in the Party Poker Millions tournament going on right now. He's still alive in that, so they've allowed me to sub for him here. And I'm in the booth with the familiar voice to you guys, Dylan Horton.
Yep.
Dylan, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here. Yeah, I didn't have much luck in this tournament. I played with Mike on day 1 and busted towards the end of the last level, so.
Yeah, you were still there when I got broke, I know that. So
Yeah.
Didn't take me long to go broke.
Right. You held on with the short stack for a good while.
Yeah. I'm used to short stacks. Well, this is a good flop for Giannis here compared to Anthony's, obviously.
Yep.
Giannis with the middle pair and a gut shot straight draw.
And he's quite short, under 20 big blinds. So.
I think if you call a raise before the flop with this hand, you got to go with it here.
He's got enough room. This is a very small bet. I think he'll probably just call.
Giannis from Birmingham, Cyprus. Youth prevailing in this tournament, no doubt about it. All 6 of our finalists in their 20s. That's happened a few other times on the World Poker Tour, but it doesn't happen that often. It's done it down here in the islands for sure. Well, both players have checked the turn.
I would expect this to just go check. I don't think Anthony's going to turn his pair into a bluff here on this run out. He could, but... I'd be very surprised to see if Giannis bets here. I think
when you get called on this flop, you can beat ace deuce suited, ace three. You know, that's about all you can beat when you have bottom pair.
Right.
So I can't imagine Anthony can lose any more money in this pot.
Yeah.
He's going to check, and Giannis going to take it down with 2 5s. Certainly the toughest player in terms of statistics at the table is sitting in seat 4. Neil Farrell. This guy's got $3 million in lifetime earnings. Pretty
EPT
impressive
winner
for a guy in their 20s.
Yep.
His biggest score was 588,000 when he won an EPT event in 2015 in Malta. But he cashed in the 1-drop this summer at the World Series of Poker. Now, it was just a $100,000 buy-in this year, just $100,000 buy-in.
That's all.
111, actually, I think. But he finished in 8th place there. He get back 488,000. But pretty good resume for a guy in their 20s.
Yeah.
To have $3 million in lifetime earnings.
Lots of good results online, too. Played with Neil for many years. Yeah.
Well, probably all these guys got good results online because 5 out of 6 of them won party poker packages to get into this tournament. Only the chip leader, the lone American at the table, Anthony Augustino, the only one that did not. So pretty good stuff for these party poker qualifiers and package winners.
Yep. They ran a lot of really good satellites on party poker. So.
Yeah. Now, 1 or 2 of them won the package into the $2,500 Party Poker Millions, which is a $2 million guaranteed tournament going on, you know, this week as well. And they just bought into this tournament since they came down here.
Yep.
And obviously a very wise investment. This was a 5K buy-in with $1 million guaranteed. Shattered the guarantee. It's going to cost Giannis $65,000 to call. He's got ace-10, but it looks like he's going to 3-bet here. When a guy picks up his chips like that, it's usually to raise, almost always. They don't pick their chips up to put the size of the raise back in there. They just add to it if they're calling the raise. But when they pick it up, they're going to 3-bet it. That's what he's done. This shows you the aggressive play of these young guys.
Yep. This is a pretty significant portion of Giannis's stack. He's put in like 20% of his chips here. I imagine he's folding if, well, I don't know. He could be 3-bet calling, but I think this is basically a bluff.
I think that's the most impressive thing to me, that these guys are still fearless and will 3-bet, even though they're really not that deep.
Right.
And as you said, he's going to have a tough decision if the guy comes over the top of him as to what to do here.
But with Troy only having a 6, like the best hand he can have here is 6s, and I wouldn't expect him to jam even a hand like that. So.
That's another $130,000 to call. Don't exactly see him calling here either. He just doesn't have enough chips to call and then fold if he doesn't hit the flop.
Oh, wow.
He's moved all in?
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
Wow.
Bold play here in Punta Cana. And I can tell you that makes an ace-10 shrink up.
Yep. We get to find out if he was 3-bet calling. It doesn't look like he's going to, based on his reaction.
Well, anytime people pick up their cards and look back at them, they fold most of the time. What a nice all-in bet there by Troy, though.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see his other card. I wonder if he
I'm
had
sure
the
it was 2
6s. Or,
6s.
yeah.
You can't make that play with any other card, I wouldn't think, unless you're just making a move. But
it would be really bold with something else.
And that's the problem with 3-betting when you're sort of short on chips.
Yeah, very costly.
Because when they come over the top of you, you just feel like you burned up your money that you put out there. And how many times, Dylan, do you say to yourself, geez, why didn't I just call there and look at a flop?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. That's why I usually do call. But
I mean, it happens so many times, you know, when you get 3-bet out of a pot and you say, geez, why didn't I just call?
Yep.
I could have seen a flop. Maybe I could have outdrawn the guy.
I'm a huge proponent of calling with hands like that, but I understand why people 3-bet too. It's definitely got some merit.
So you'd have called the all-in bet there? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no, I mean, I would have called his original open,
Oh.
his original raise there.
I see, with the ace-10, yeah.
But he was out of position, so people like to 3-bet in spots like that when they're out of position.
Okay, well, Stephen Wooded has now picked up the 2 walking sticks, 2 sevens. Sure he's going to raise with this, just no matter how much. He's moving all in. He's the short stack at the table, coming to this final table. Only had 750,000, down to 715,000 already. So just shipping it, which is what most players would do in that spot with that hand.
Yeah.
Pretty standard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to raise and get called by the big blind. Give him a good price to peel and have some overs and stuff. So just take it down.
Stevie from Chesterfield in the UK. He's
Neil's
one that won a preliminary package, meaning he won the 2,500 entry into the Party Poker Millions. He just bought into this tournament. Once he was here, obviously a wise investment.
Yeah. And Neil's now the short stack with that pot. So.
But I'm just wowed that so many players from England and around the world qualified on Party Poker to win packages of this tournament. In fact, they flew a private plane out from Birmingham, England that had 300 on it.
I saw that. That looked really cool.
You know, it was all logoed up with the Party Poker logos, and you can imagine what a party they had on that plane ride coming down here. Should have been around to start the games when they got off the plane.
Yeah.
All right, Troy's raised it up to 85,000 here with the ace-queen. It's folded around the colon, who looks down at the speed limit hand. Has the 2 5s. Now, do you just call here?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I think too.
Call in. I don't see his chip stack, but it looks like he's got a lot. Yeah, he's got. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, he's got 36 big blinds. I would expect him to just call here and see a flop. Oh, wow.
Wow, he is going over the top all in as well.
That is a lot of big blinds.
These guys are not afraid to play small and big pairs, I can tell you. Now you see the headache.
Yeah. This is a very tough spot for
Troy
Troy.
has right here.
I think he would probably fold, but.
Well, Troy Kenville from Tecumseh, Canada.
Yeah.
He's going to lay it down. Just too much pressure.
Yeah, it's too many chips.
That is a bold play by this youngster here. You know, all these guys are smart. They know that you pick up a pair only once, averaged every 17 deals, but still, when a guy raises in front of you, to put your tournament life on the line with just 2 5s.
With 3 shorter stacks.
Yeah.
3 shorter stacks.
With 3 shorter stacks. So
36 bigs.
obvious. He's not looking to move up and pay. I mean, he's looking to take it all down when you make a play like that.
Yeah.
All those guys that look at the board to see what the next payout position is, most likely we're not going to play the 2 5s like that, I can assure you.
Yep.
Colin only has 46,000 in lifetime earnings, so wherever he finishes is going to be his lifetime score.
Wow.
But he didn't play that hand like he'd never been there before. The only sad news about this week, other than you and I going out of this tournament, is that the weather hasn't been up to standard what they were hoping for. It's normally very sunny. Just an amazing property here at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Punta Cana. I was amazed how massive this place is. It is huge. There are so many units in this place, and
I still haven't even explored the
many
beach
pools
area.
and so many beach areas. It's been raining for a few days, so haven't had a chance to get out there and look at it all. But Wow, what a place this is. Just unfortunate because it's unique how they played these tournaments here this week. That play started at 5 p.m. Now,
Yep.
you know, tournaments normally don't start at 5 p.m., but they wanted everybody to enjoy the beach activities and
Right.
play golf and enjoy themselves down here in the daytime and then come play poker at night. But unfortunately, because of all the rain, nobody's been able to enjoy the beach activities. But, you know, the bars are taking a heavy hit, though.
Yeah. I've had a fair number of cocktails since I got here.
All young guns at this final table. All 6 players in their 20s. See, I wouldn't even have fit in if I'd have been at this final table. I've been like grandpa to all these guys.
Yeah.
Neil just folded the ace-5 over to the chip leader. Anthony looks at a king-7. I'm not sure he's the chip leader anymore.
I think he is. We haven't seen any huge shifts in chips. He's lost a very small number of chips in the ace-4 hand.
Well, he is going to raise it
Yeah.
with the king-7 offsuit. Now, these are the kind of hands that you have the luxury of playing when you're a chip leader. If you're one of the short stacks at the table, you know, it's just very difficult to put chips in with a hand like that. But Anthony's going to have a little problem here because Steven is certainly going to 3-bet this.
Yeah, he's going to jam.
With 2 8s.
Yep.
Yep, he's going to move all in fact, I believe.
Yep.
So another 700,000 to Anthony. I know he's got over 2 million in chips, but I don't see any chance he's putting it in here.
No.
So the 2 snowmen paying off for Steven there. Steven, 26 years old. Has a degree in accounting. Been a professional poker player for 4 years. And Dylan, this might shock you, but his favorite poker player is Phil Hellmuth.
I don't hear too many
No.
people say that.
Especially the young guns.
Yeah.
You might see old people that, you know, just have heard Phil name his name for so long and have heard his name for a while and know he's the all-time bracelet leader at the World Series of Poker, but there's not many professional players in their 20s that would consider Phil Hellmuth their favorite player, most likely.
Right.
Well, that's who Steven has listed. Anthony picked up ace-10 a minute ago. That 3-bet out of the pot. He's going to raise it to 90,000.
Colin's sitting there with ace-jack. Looks like he's going to do something. Oh, he called. Okay.
Well, Colin just called with the ace-jack. The problem is when you call with the ace-jack in this spot, even though you have the best hand, if your opponent c-bets after the flop when both of you miss, like this flop, what do you do now with ace-jack?
Yeah.
The beauty of getting the last raise in before the flop is that you get to make the first bet after the flop. Most everybody makes a c-bet. And when you don't connect with a flop, I'm telling you, it's tough to continue. There's the check by Colin. But Anthony checked as well.
This is kind of an interesting turn card here.
Both
get
players
gut
have the
shots.
ace-high straight draw.
Yeah.
But because of the check by Anthony on the flop, I don't see Colin getting away from this hand now. You might put the guy on a weaker ace or a small pair, but you would think Colin can win the pot if he bets at it. Anthony checking again. He's Very surprised Anthony did not continue betting on the flop here. It's been interesting to see how this hand played out. As it is, I look for Colin to win this pot.
Yeah, well, I think Anthony might be check calling here, but I think
Yeah.
I would expect Colin to bet this turn. You don't want to let a hand like fives, you know, just see a river and possibly get a showdown and win.
But then again, you don't want to get check raised out of the pot either.
That's true. But
you have a chance to make the nuts. And how many times you bet on the turn like this and the guy check raised you, and now you say, what was I doing? Why didn't I just check there and get the free card?
That's true.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he bets or if he checks either one.
I think most of the hands that Anthony would check raise, he would just bet either the flop or the turn with as well, because he's got the Colin out chipped as well.
Yeah, so Colin is going to bet 95,000. Now let's see what Anthony does with his ace-high straight draw. Well, he's just going to give it up.
Yep.
So there's a case where Anthony raised pre-flop and essentially just waved the flag and said, you just go ahead and take this pot. You know, where I believe had he c-bet this flop, he'd have won that pot rather than lost it most likely.
That's true, but ace-jack might have called and then he would have lost more chips.
Yeah,
and
might have called him on the flop.
Yep.
That's what you don't know, but I'm one of those believers that if you're going to raise before the flop and get called, bet on the flop whether you hit it or not, because most of the time they miss, and you can win a lot of pots even if your opponent might have a better hand, as was the case here. Let's hold it all the way around to Steven at the king-8 of clubs.
Looks like he went for a min raise there on the button. Yep.
All right.
And Yanis.
That was the short stack.
This is an
at the
interesting
table, but not afraid to min raise here.
I think Yanis will probably shove all in, but it's it looks like he has about 20 big blinds. They're both about 20 bigs.
Pretty bold all in bet, I think.
Yeah, but it's over a button open. Steven's gonna, even though Steven's shorter. Oh wow, yeah, he just folds. Even though Steven's shorter, like he's still gonna be opening a fair number of buttons. It's like the one spot he can attempt to steal.
Neil asking how many chips he's got. I think Neil looks at the flop here, don't you?
Yeah. It's a bit awkward because of how short he is, but I think min raise 6-5 makes sense.
Out of position, but now here's where the problems come in. He's got the best hand now with 2 5s, but your opponent raised before the flop, and ace and the queen's out there.
Because Neil's so short, he doesn't have many aces in his range here either, because he would jam all in with a lot of them, the strong ones at least. So
if Neil plays here, I'll be surprised.
I think he can continue on flop, but the problem with it is, yeah, because he doesn't have many aces, he doesn't have any super strong hands on this board. So Steven can make a very profitable 2-barrel or 3-barrel all in. But it's tough because he's short as well. So
it's very tough when you're short. You know, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, a bet on the turn would represent like a third of his chips or something.
I mean, almost if you knew what your opponent had, it'd be easy to bet here and keep betting. But when the guy calls you on the flop like this, to fire a second bullet and a third bullet, not so easy.
Yep, it'll be interesting to see if Steven 2-barrels this to try to get him to fold a queen or a 5, or if he just shuts it down. It's a tough decision because he's very short. This bet would represent a lot of his stack. Yeah, he shuts it down.
I mean, the tournament life's on the line. You know, if a guy calls you one more time, Jack comes off, so he's probably going to go check again, and Neil's going to win this pot with 2 5s.
I think that was a bit of a missed opportunity on the turn. I think if he bets something like 240, 220, puts Neil in a very, very tough spot with a lot of hands.
I agree with that, but when you're short on chips and you have to risk a lot of with no hand, it's tough to do.
Yep.
He's going to be kicking himself now when he sees his opponent's hand.
Yep.
He knows that he fired one more bullet, he'd probably won that pot, but it's hard to do when you're sitting there at the table, folks.
It is.
And you're short on chips and your tournament life's on the line and you're playing for over $350,000 in a WPT title. But that hand would aptly demonstrate the power of aggression and how many pots you win by betting and continuing to bet.
That was a huge swing, too, because now Neil moves into fourth there, coming from sixth to fourth, and then Steven drops to the shortest stack now.
I don't see Steven playing this with his chip count here.
Yeah.
It's the kind of hand, if you're chip leader, you don't mind taking the min raise on
Right.
and
Yeah.
taking control of the pot.
If he had Anthony's chips, he'd be opening that hand for sure. That's an interesting walk from here. Just folds the king four, blind versus blind.
Well, that's what happens when the chip leader's sitting on your left.
Yeah, he has to assume there's going to be a lot of aggression, but
Yeah.
you also can't just give him a walk every single time, I think. But he's probably played a lot with Anthony in the last day or two, so he'll probably know like how frequently he's going to raise if he limps. And,
the graphic is actually not quite right there. He's from Fort Lauderdale, but he actually lives in Henderson, Nevada now. But a lot of players consider their hometown the town that they want represented on the screen when they make these final tables, because they're proud to represent the hometown where they grew up. So we're going to raise it up here with the two ducks.
And it's a good spot for Troy to open because Anthony's in the small blind, so he's probably not going to play too many hands or give him a tough time. And all the other players are very short, so they're not going to be calling as much. So it's a really good spot to open.
I love the min raise, though, with the two small deuces and the small pairs. You know, if you start limping in with those kind of hands, or 8-9 suited, or Jack-10 suited, opponents read that right away. They just make a big bet at you, knowing you can't stand the heat, and just take your money away. And so many people, when they limp in poker, have those kind of hands. Small pairs, 8-9 suited, 10 Jack suited, and you know what they have. And good players recognize it, put a big raise in, and just take the pot away from them before they can even see a flop. But when you're min raising all the time with the good hands and the weak ones, nobody knows what you have, so you win pots automatic like you did there. Now here's Steven. Now do you make a min raise here?
Yeah.
Which I think you do.
Yep. He's got enough that he could still be stealing a little bit or have hands that he's not looking to get all in. So it's not too obvious if he were to raise, but it does look strong.
It looks very strong. Anytime short stacks don't move all in, I mean, it automatically should raise your caution flag, folks.
Yep.
Don't fall for that trap.
I would expect Troy to call here, Queen 8 in the big blind.
And he does make the call. And the flop comes ace 8-5. So Steven, of course, with the three aces. Troy with middle pair. Now, do you check him here? Two clubs and a possible straight, or you just make a min bet?
Yeah, they both have merit. He goes for a small bet. Wow, nice fold. Just snap folds the middle pair, yeah.
Snap folds middle pair. A lot of guys would have lost a little more money with that hand, maybe.
Yeah. It's a board that like he's gonna c-bet all of his bluffs, so he should c-bet a hand like aces, but at the same time he's blocking, you know, his opponent from having a strong hand, so he's just gonna get a fold a lot when he bets. So he could go either way. He opted
A
to
lot of
bet.
players want to check 3 aces there, but
Yeah.
it's just too suspicious to your opponent. And
Yeah.
chances are it's never going to make you any more money. And in case the guy, you know, had a 7-4 suited or something and made a gut shot straight, you'd be kicking yourself for not betting.
Exactly.
Action on Neil. Queen offsuit. Looks like he's going to bet the min raise. Well, just above the min raise, 85,000.
Big hand for Troy here.
Wow. He just ran into aces the last pot. Now he's picked up kings this pot. Now we know it's going to get 3-bet. It's just a matter of how much. My guess is he's going to make it 190, 200,000.
Yeah, something like that. I would expect a little bit larger, maybe 220, 210. Doesn't want to give him too good of a price, but no, he just okay. Yeah, 200.
He does make it 200,000. Just what I would have made it. And he's going to win the pot. You're looking to get action with those hands, and that's the hand I got broke with in this tournament was 2 kings. And I'd raised under the gun with it. And the guy 3-bet me. Everybody got out, and I 4-bet, and he just called. Here comes Jack 10-9, and I bet. He moved in, and now, you know, he's slow playing aces. Or I was hoping he had 2 queens in that spot where I might have the best hand.
King Jack or something like that.
No, he had the 2 aces. I mean, he didn't re-raise me before the flop with the 2 aces.
Yeah, you
know,
can
it's
never
hard to
put him on
it,
that,
you know.
yeah.
I really thought, hoping he had 2 queens. You could have flopped a set of jacks, 10s, or 9s, but anyway, wasn't a bad beat story. So just bad when I picked up the kings, I ran into aces. But
just a bad luck story.
Bad luck story, yeah. But I don't have any bad luck stories this week after last week for me. So
yeah.
Nobody wants to hear me crying this week for sure.
Right.
After I won the WPT event in Montreal just a few days ago. One of these players at this table will be joining me and a bunch of others at the WPT Tournament of Champions at the end of the year. Also at the Hard Rock Casino, but in Hollywood, Florida, instead of Punta Cana. It will take place in April of next year.
Oh, Anthony just folded ace-3. So it seemed like he was opening quite a lot, and I guess he's tightening up now.
Well, I think he's won too many pots, so you do change gears when that happens.
That's true.
Cohen will be raising for sure. $90,000. Troy's got one of those hands you'd like to see it flop with, but just didn't want to put in 2 bets. Giannis faced with one of those decisions again as to what to do with middle pair.
Yep, he keeps getting hands in the small blind. Yeah, he's going to shove all in.
And he has gone all in. And one thing that we're learning at this final table, guys that get middle pairs and small pairs move in. They don't call bets. They ship it all. That's what's happened so far at this final table.
I wouldn't expect Colin to call here, but We did see him make that crazy play with fives earlier, so maybe he just, maybe he will find it.
Yeah. No, you just hate to call there because you feel so bad if you're up against ace, king, ace, queen, or aces, kings, or queens. And they all in bets with these small pairs working very well at this table so far. Everybody that's had them's moved in with them. They won every pot. Here's what they're playing for. Winner taking home $335,000. Runner up $220,000. Next guy out gets $66,000. This was a 5K buy-in event. They guaranteed $1 million in prize money, and they exceeded that by a pretty decent margin. Another small pair.
After we send the blinds up, guys, 25, 50,
Some bet 85,000 with 2 deuces a minute ago. Somebody can do the same thing with 2 threes. Exactly. Folded all around to Anthony in the big blind. He's got chips. He's got queen jack. So
definitely not folding.
He's at least going to call. Yeah, he's not going to fold for sure. He makes the call, so we're going to see a flop here. A very nice flop for Anthony. He's got middle pair. He checks.
It'll be interesting to see if Troy c-bets this or he checks back.
Well, I would c-bet it, just in case your opponent's going to have like ace-5 or 9-10 suited. I'd get away from it.
That's true.
And he is going to do it. $115,000 to bet. Now here's where poker gets tough, folks. I raised before the flop, bets on the flop. You've got 2 queens, so I don't think you're going to throw middle pair away here, especially if you got his chips. But do you just call?
Yeah.
And that's what he's done. Just going to see what happens on the next street. When you call there, you're automatically going to fold on the next street. Now 2 deuces come off.
This is a bad card for Anthony because his jack no longer plays, and if he's up against a king, he has only 2 outs. So if Troy were to bet again here, it might work. Reaches pretty quickly.
Well, if he's putting his opponent on a straight draw or a flush draw, you don't want him to draw for free. If he does have 2 queens, he might lay him down if you bet.
Exactly.
So a lot of positive reasons for betting here. Troy doing just that. Now Anthony knows really all he can beat's a bluff, virtually. Tough decision for Anthony here.
Yeah. There's a lot of draws out there, but he's in really bad shape if...
Troy's trying to look real strong here. Now, normally when a guy tries to look like that, where he stares you down, tries to look strong, it's a tell. And usually a guy has opposite of what he's trying to send off here. So Anthony, it looks like he picked up on that to me. And the guy's trying to look real strong. He's normally not. I expect this to go check, check here.
Yep. Troy might have some hope that he can win at showdown here.
Yeah.
He can beat ace jack, jack 10.
The opponent could have a flush draw.
Yep.
Could have a straight draw. He could easily have a jack 10 in this spot. So you have check down value with the 2 threes. And it does go check, check. And Anthony's going to win this pot with 2 queens. Well, deuce is full of queens, but it's the queens that win it for him. And certainly I don't think you can fault either player for the way they played that hand.
No, yeah, it was a well-played hand by both, I think.
Yeah. You know, when you're sitting here and you can see the hands, and you say, that's exactly the way I would have played it if I'd have been sitting in either seat, which is the case there.
Yep.
How can you fault anybody for the way they played it?
Exactly.
All right. Blinds have gone up now, 25 and 50,000. Still a 5K ante.
Yeah, we should see the short stacks be shoving even more now. There's a few guys that have around 15, 18 bigs now.
Do you shove with 18 bigs?
Over and open, yeah, or with some hands like sevens and things like that, yeah.
Now it's folded around to the small blind. What do you do now with 8-7?
I think this is a spot where it's more a function of the chip leader, you know, it's kind of status. He's probably going to try and pick on him here. Just raise and get a fold, I would expect it.
And that is exactly what's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to fold, but Anthony is going to raise it for sure.
Yep.
And Colin goes out, so nice raise out of the small blind there by Anthony. Take down the pot.
And Colin's going to have a hard time calling there because there's 3 short stacks at the table. And I think he's one of, well, no, actually he's got the 1.4, right? So I guess he can defend some hands, but still not bad to put some pressure on him there.
A little trivia here about Anthony Agostino. A few years back at the WPT World Championship event, the event that Mad Marvin Rettenmeyer won, there was another player at the table called Trevor Pope who was at that table. And somebody in the stands came in the rooting section dressed as a pope. And it turns out it was Anthony Agostino.
Oh, nice.
So if you can remember back to your archives there and in a WPT World Championship and saw a guy dressed as a pope, you're looking at him right now in the sunglasses at the table here.
Chip leader at a final table.
Chip leader at the final table.
Yeah.
Neil going all in here.
Wow, and he's going to get a call from Colin.
Yep, I'm certain Colin is going to make the call. And Neil is going to have the best hand he can have against Colin's hand. I mean, when a guy calls you, he's smiling, he knows he's in a race.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
happy to be in a race in this situation. It's
saw
the best
Neil.
position you can be in.
Neil just laughed right after he saw his hand because he knows a fake flip.
Yeah. You don't want anybody to call you, but when they do, this is what you want them to have. And there you go. You've outflopped him.
Yep.
Neil now with 2 jacks, taking the lead. Colin's going to have to hit Flint to Saginaw on the river, 30 miles. He needs a 10. Doesn't happen. So Neil is going to double up. This guy's going to be a force before it's done with.
Yep.
He's far and away the biggest lifetime money winner among these players at this table. There's 2.95 million in career earnings in live tournaments. That's pretty strong for a guy in his 20s.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the next highest guy at the table has less than 500,000 in lifetime earnings, I believe.
So now Colin is the short stack. And Neil moves up to 3rd. That was a very big swing.
It was a big swing, but obviously everybody sitting in this seat is going to make that call with 2 10s.
Yeah.
So it's an automatic play, an automatic call. It's a race, and as you've heard umpteen thousand times, to win tournaments, you got to win races.
Yep.
Colin didn't win that one, but still has chips. Anthony Augustino, the lone American at the table, with a substantial chip lead now, about 2 million chip lead over the second place guy right now. So that's a comfortable spot to be in at the final table. But it's funny, it doesn't ever matter how many chips you got. You know, I was chip leader going in the final table in Montreal. You just never feel like you get enough chips.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, there was a recent WPT at Borgata. The chip leader came in with like half the chips in play and went out sixth.
Yeah, and went out sixth.
Yeah.
And he'll be talking about that to himself when he's 70 years old in a rocker, I can promise you. You know, it's just so rare to make these final tables, so rare to win these tournaments. You know, and to come in as chip leader to give yourself a really good shot to win and go out in last place among the 6 players, it's just got to be tough to deal with now.
Yeah.
Certainly you can run into hands and it can happen, but the chances are along the way that you spewed off some chips, you know, that you probably shouldn't have. And you just don't forgive yourself for it, you know, because it's just so hard to get there.
Yep.
And when you do, you have to make the most of the opportunity. All 6 of these guys looking for their first WPT title. I think only Neil, the only player at the table that's won a major tournament. He won a European Poker Tour event in Malta for $588,000. But I don't believe any of the rest have notched a major championship in their history yet. But somebody's going to do it tonight. Let's see who. Wow, Neil folded two fours.
2 fours, yeah.
Now that surprises me. That's something I don't do. I don't know if you're supposed to or not. I've seen some good players fold deuces and threes up front, but
yeah,
I'd rather make the men raise with them.
There's a lot of short stacks at the table that will shove all in over his open, and there's also 2 big stacks that can 3-bet him and put him in a very tough spot.
And you're right. And obviously, you know, it's all about tournament strategy too at this point. And he does have more chips than 3 players at the table. And doesn't want to give them away and just sit back, move up a notch or 2. Well, I hate to give you a ground scanner, but I have to do it. 7 deuce offsuit.
Yep. He had 3 deuce offsuit the last hand when Troy jammed from the small blind with 7-6. So probably a little frustrated he can't wake up with some in those spots.
Yeah. Well, we all know poker is very frustrating when you don't pick up any cards. It means you have to manufacture all your hands, and it's just tough to do because normally when you're not picking up cards, you don't have many chips. So it's tough to be real creative when you're short on chips. I just have a feeling with Neil's experience, it's going to bode well for him at this table. And what do you do on the button here with a Jack-9? Do you ship it?
I don't think so. I think he's got 600,000 or 700,000, so it's kind of tough for him to open too. So yeah, makes sense to fold.
And he just lays it down. Now Giannis with the 7-3 of hearts, limping in, calling out of the small blind. And watch how many chips he's got. I think Neil will be happy to knock the table as well. Just look at a flop. Yep, that's the case. Ace 5-8. Now, obviously, whoever bets at this pot is going to win it.
Yeah, I expect Giannis to fire here. Since Neil doesn't really have many aces, he would raise them pre.
Yep, very good bet by Giannis right there. You know your opponent doesn't have an ace. He'd have raised it before the flop. Now, he could have well had a pair of 8s or a pair of 5s, but he could also have Jack 2 or Queen 6 like he did have, where you're going to win a lot of pots by betting there. And you're only betting about a third of the size of the pot. It's certainly worth the risk to stick out a wager. I mean, the beauty of proper bet sizing is that you don't have to make big bets to win pots. You get the same information betting small.
Yeah.
You know, and the good players know that. So, you know, you don't have to bet 150,000 when 50,000 will get you the same information. All right, Troy going to raise it up here. 110,000. Fold it around to Anthony in the big blind. And you got a king 8.
Yeah, he's going to defend here.
He's going to defend. Certain players in poker are defenders. Anthony defending here.
Both catch a piece here.
Yeah, could get him in trouble. Not just because he's got bottom pair, because he's got the key card, the king of spade. He can represent spades. Now, if you're Troy, obviously, I think you have to bet. You know, probably 110,000 would be my guess. It's going to be the bet size here. You certainly want to make your opponent pay if they have a jack 10 or a king 10 or something like that in this situation, where they could outdraw you and beat you. 140,000 to bet. A little more than I thought he would bet.
Yeah, I'd expect Anthony to just call here.
Do you think you'll call bottom pair?
Yeah. And backdoor nut flush draw. He knows Troy's probably going to be betting all of his bluffs here on this board.
He's going to make the call. He's going to wait and see what happens on the turn here. Now the 6 of clubs comes off. That might go check, check here. I think
Troy could certainly bet twice because Anthony's probably going to be 3-betting ace jack, ace queen, ace king pre. So there's not many better aces that he has to worry about.
I think you bet about 180,000 here. Again, you have to bet in case your opponent's got an underpair like he does, or he has a drawing hand. You just have to make him pay for it. Now your problem, of course, if you get check raised in this spot, you kick yourself for betting because you're going to throw the hand away. So if Anthony's got the heart to check raise here, I believe he's going to win himself a pot. But most likely he's just going to give it up here. When a guy fires a second shell against a chip leader in this spot, you just have to give him credit for aces or king queen at the worst. And he does give it up.
Yes, fold.
So a nice fire once again there by Troy. He lost the pot a minute ago where he fired the trays a couple times, but I like the way he played it. It was king, queen, and 2 deuces out there.
I liked it too.
So he's not afraid to bet. But I guarantee you a lot of players might have checked the ace deuce in that spot. Steven's got the ace 10. I think he almost ships it here, doesn't he?
Yep.
That's what I would do.
He's short. He's got 13 big blinds.
Yeah, just doesn't have enough chips to raise and then play the pot after that. You know, Anthony got an interesting hand here. The queen jack suited. A lot of players with this chip count would gamble in this spot.
Yeah, it is a very gambly call, though.
You could be dominated if your opponent's got ace, king, king, queen, ace, jack, but he could also easily have a pair of 4s. But just didn't want to risk another 700,000 there in that spot, where you know you probably have to outdraw your opponent.
Yeah.
The chance of you having the best hand there when the money goes in is
slim.
Slight.
you're beating some hands. Anthony would jam Jack 10 suited and Queen 10 suited and things like that, but yeah, most of the time you expect to see an Ace King, Ace 10, pocket pair or something.
We certainly want to thank all of you for tuning in to the live stream here at the Party Poker WPT Caribbean final table. And a wonderful week in terms of poker, not for Dylan and myself.
Yeah.
Because we're sitting here doing the commentary instead of playing at that final table, but well, here goes Colin. He's shipping it all in here with the ace high. Certainly can't blame him for that.
Nope.
A 12 big blind, so gets it in there and takes it down. You're very happy to see an ace high in that situation when you get down to about 10 big blinds. And those of you wondering about the upcoming WPT event, December 2nd, we start the Party Poker WPT Prague event. Everyone tells me that's a great tournament. And I'll be at the next event after that, the WPT 5 Diamond World Poker Classic at Bellagio in Las Vegas. That's the 10K buy-in event. It's legendary. It's been here all 15 seasons on the World Poker Tour. Some of the biggest names in poker have won that tournament. Daniel Negreanu, Antonio Esfandiari, Gus Hansen, Joe Hashem. So that's one you would love to win. I don't think the prize money for the winner of that event's ever been under 1.4 million. So that one's worth winning. There's the PMU France WPT National Deauville event on December 8th. Just an 1,100 buy-in. December 22nd, a WPT National Thailand event. In case you're in Asia for the holidays.
And Cambodia after that. January 6th.
WPT National Cambodia now. So World Poker Tour is certainly global now.
Yeah.
Big time.
I don't think I've ever seen a tournament in Cambodia.
Yeah, it's our first one, I believe. But Asia is going to be the new boom of the poker world. And WPT now has events in China, the Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia. We're there. And these guys are there all in a race situation. No, a dominating situation. Ace-Jack versus Ace-10. Neil, the heavy favorite here. And the pop comes 4-3-3. I assure you, Stephen would love to see a 4 come out there where they would split his pot.
More,
they can split it with a 5 now. Yeah. Split it with a deuce or a 4.
Deuce, 4, 5, 10. Nope.
But an 8 comes off. So that is going to do it for Stephen Woodhead from Chesterfield. He is going to be our 6th place finisher, came to the final table on the short stack, and went out in 6th chip position. He'll take home $66,000 for his efforts this week. He won a package on Party Poker to get here, so certainly a very profitable trip for him. You know, a little depressed now, but, you know, when he's in the bar tomorrow and flying back home and he's got another $60,000 in his pocket, he's going to be a very, very happy guy.
Yep. And Neil's gone from one of the shortest stacks to 3rd in chips. Much more comfortable 3rd in chips now.
And he's the guy that I've predicted will be a real force to be reckoned with, and I'm going to say that because of his poker resume. The guy's got $3 million in live earnings in his 20s. Gets my respect, I can assure you. Also, a guy that enters $100,000 buy-in tournaments also gets my respect, and he does that. And those guys that enter one-drop events, they get my respect, whether they're a good poker player or not.
Yeah.
They just got that kind of money to enter those tournaments. You have to respect them. What a raise by Troy here. Pressure on Giannis. Wow, he's going to make the call. It was just a min raise, but still not so easy to call with a king 4. Yeah, nice flop for Troy. He's flopped middle pair here, so he's out-flopped his opponent. Certainly he's going to lead out here.
This is a spot I kind of like a check from Troy, actually. It's one of those hands that like you really don't want to get check raised. There's some draws that are out there, and
I would never check middle pair here. He's going to bet. If I had to pick out a weakness for Troy, it would be his tells. He tries to act so strong when he's really not that strong. We saw it in an earlier pot today, and there he just forcefully threw out his chips, you know, like, you know, get out of my way, I've got it, and all that. And, you know, and as you said, if he got raised there, all of a sudden that middle pair shrinks up considerably. But I do like the way the guy bets. He's not afraid to bet, but you know, I do think if you really study the guy, you can read him. Troy, as we said, was from Tecumseh, Canada. Pretty smart guy. He's got a Bachelor of Science degree in mechanical engineering. So that's pretty good. Been playing poker for 12 years, he says. His favorite poker player is Jason Helder from Team Wispy. So, Jason, if you're out there watching, I'm sure you're very happy that your man's got you a little broadcast time. Youth prevailing again on the World Poker Tour. Big time here at this final table. All 6 finalists in their 20s.
between 25 and 29, all of them. Wow.
Five out of the 6 players won Party Poker packages to get here. You qualified online. You win entries to a tournament. You win the expenses of the trip. Free transportation over. So you're on a free roll when you get here. And then to cash and take home some big money. Just icing on the cake. Now Giannis going to raise on the button here with a 10-9 offsuit.
Neil's got a playable hand.
75,000 to make the call. You still got the chip leader sitting behind you in the big blind, but he opted to lay it down.
Yeah, I think it's because Giannis is short enough that Neil can't 3-bet fold. I think it's reasonable for him to call.
He just doesn't want to burn it up there, but as you said, 8-7 suited. A lot of guys would have called there to look at a flop.
Yeah, definitely.
But then as soon as you do that, the big blind squeeze you, and then you're kicking yourself for being in there to start with. So,
and that is a real concern.
You know,
the chip leader in the big blind.
Yep. So easily understandable why a guy would fold there. Well, certainly not a talkative final table.
No, I haven't seen anyone talking at this table.
No. It's very obvious we're missing 9 high like a boss at this final table. William Kassouf we're talking about. The guy that caused all the fuss at the World Series of Poker because of his conversations at the table. Actually played with him in the WPT 500 in England just a few weeks ago. He's a very nice guy. And there they had an action clock where you had 20 seconds stacked on your hand. So
that wasn't an issue.
So it's not an issue how much he talks. So it's sort of fun to be around him.
Yeah.
So, and I don't have issue with guys talking.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Some people think I do. I have issues when they delay and stall the game where I'm not getting out enough hands per hour.
I feel the exact same way.
You know?
I didn't have issue with him talking at the World Series. I thought he was pretty respectful most of the time. I thought his penalty was for taunting was kind of harsh, actually.
I agree with you.
And he didn't get a good explanation as to why he was getting penalized either. So I think the floor didn't handle it very well. Yeah, I don't have a problem with his table talk either. He was.
Yeah. It's just so frustrating, as you know, as a player, if you've got guys that are talking and stalling and staring and wasting time, where your table's getting out 15 hands an hour, and the table next to you is getting out 35 hands an hour. Right. It's aggravating.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just not fair.
I'd be very annoyed too with how much time he was taking. That was the only issue I had with him.
Well, the answer is simple. We just need an action clock in all tournaments and all cash games. And if I was the World Poker Commissioner, that's what I would induce starting tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need a shot clock more than ever.
We used it at the WPT Tournament of Champions, the action clock, and the players raved about it for the most part. I mean, maybe 5% weren't crazy about it, but they had a 30-second time limit to act on their hand, and we gave them 4 time buttons, we called them, where they had an extra 30 seconds that they could throw out there and get additional time. Certain times you do need more time, but that's what the time buttons are for. Well, Colin's going to go all in here with a king deuce.
That's pretty. Well, it's blind versus blind.
Yeah,
okay.
He's only got 12 blinds, and Troy has made the call here. Troy with the best hand, ace high, and ace 8. Colin needing some help to stay alive. Doesn't get it on the flop as it comes.
He's got some diamonds.
9-4. Got a backdoor diamond draw, backdoor straight draw, and hits a king on the turn. And on the river now, the only way Troy can win the pot must catch an ace. Doesn't happen as a 10 comes off. So there you go. Colin outdraws his opponent to stay alive. His hopes of becoming a WPT champion tonight are right there. And there is no better feeling when you outdraw somebody for your tournament life. Just ask me. I did it 4 or 5 times last week in Montreal. It's never happened to me in my entire career of 30 years playing in tournament poker, where I've outdrawn somebody on each of 4 different days to stay alive in a poker tournament with the dominated hand. But it happened last week for me. So, Colin, I know how you feel right now, and it's pretty good.
It's a good feeling, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It says
usually I'm the guy on the other side that gets outdrawn, and I'm packing and going home. But last week was my lucky week, so certainly it could be Colin's tonight. He needed that to stay alive. He got it. Moves into 4th place.
Colin's biggest cash is $23,000 in tournament cash. So this is already this is a big cash for him.
Well, it's huge.
Yeah.
Far more than his lifetime cash. He's only 25 years old. Says he's still a student. He's majoring in financial and actuarial math. Boy, another mathematician coming in the poker world. We don't need any more of those, do we? No. They're all too smart now.
Yeah.
But he has been playing poker for 7 years. He's a wise man that says his favorite poker player is his girlfriend. So that's pretty good.
Favorite game is StarCraft. Nice.
He didn't understand you're supposed to put on the bio your favorite game is some kind of poker game.
Some kind of poker
like
game.
Like a pot limit Omaha, like 7-card stud, like no limit hold'em, like deuce to 7 draw. StarCraft. That shows you how young the guy is. Well, the king deuce worked out for him. Now he's going to try the ace deuce. He's going to raise on the button.
Standard button open.
115,000 and gets the job done. Now, when you outdraw somebody for your life with a king deuce, then you win the next pot with an ace deuce. I'm telling you, the pep in your step goes up when you're sitting at a poker table. For those of you just tuning in, wondering where Tony Dunst is, well, he's out playing in the Party Poker Millions right now. That's a $2 million guaranteed tournament that they have down here in Punta Cana. And Dylan, I wish we were in his seat instead of this one, to be honest with you. Because the winner of that event's going to get mega bucks.
Yep. Registration's still open in that for another hour, right?
Wow, there you
Couple
go.
hours, yeah.
Well, folks, not even you have enough private jet to get down here in time to enter it, but in case you're sitting in your room in Punta Cana here debating whether to play or not too late. Well, here Anthony's raised it to 110,000 with 2 10s. Colin now has won a couple pots in a row here. Has the king queen. Now this is the hand that I see a lot of young guys 3-bet with. They don't call with the king queen. I even see them 4-bet a lot with it.
Yeah.
You know, this is the one hand I've learned. If you're going to 4-bet, this is the hand to do it with.
Right.
I see it work over and over for people. Instead, Colin just lays it down.
Yeah, that's surprising. Chip leader is going to be opening pretty wide here, I would think.
Well, Troy's on the button here with the 8-7 suited.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't want to call the 110K cold.
Some very tight play here.
So just a matter if Neil wants to see a flop with a 6-5 against the chip leader out of position.
Neil likes defending. I think he'll probably...
Well, we've seen him play pretty conservative here since he's in this chip position now.
Yeah.
And again, he takes the conservative route and throws it away. I think it was a different scenario. I think if everybody had the same amount of chips, you know, then I think he would defend out of the big blind with the 6-5. But
that's
a couple guys are shorter on chips. You know, you just don't want to spew chips off in this situation here, where you're one of the low guys on the stack then. So he just folded, going to wait for a better spot, that's all. I'll tell you, Colin could possibly pass for a distant cousin of Stu Unger in terms of his physical appearance. There's the slight body. Well, Giannis on the button. I think he just limped in on the button, didn't he? There's a play we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
Well, certainly Neil's going to make the call here now with the 10-6 of hearts out of the small blind. At least I believe he will.
Yep.
I would. And just hope the big blind doesn't raise it.
Definitely, yeah. Very interesting limp. I like it.
But notice how long he's taken to make this play. To act like he might even have a stronger hand than he has.
I think
it's
he's
a
considering
defensive stall. I think
he's considering raising because.
Wow, you were right.
Yeah, because Giannis, like I do like his limp, but you were saying earlier how when you go from raising all your good hands to suddenly limping, it's very obvious you don't have a big hand.
Yep, and that's the case, and he certainly picked it off.
Yeah, so I think Neil's correctly reading the situation that Giannis just can't really call this raise, or isn't going to call this raise.
You still have to get by the big blind, which you do most of the time in this situation. Yeah. He gets by it here, and Giannis is going to be tough to continue with this hand, and he's not going to do it. So a very nice read there by Neil. Very well played.
I'm kind of surprised he went so small with his raise, though, because I think with that type of hand, you really want to make it bigger and disincentivize a call from the button. There are some hands that would have called 180 there that might not call 250 or 260.
I agree with that, but you have to like his raise in that situation.
Yeah, it was a good raise.
Just that play alone gives you a glimpse of why this guy is taking down $3 million in live tournament play, because you have to make those kind of plays to do that. So many players just call there, and I said I would have called in that spot. I wouldn't even have raised it there.
Yeah, I probably would have
just to see a flop, and you know. But I so admire guys that do raise it and don't rely on the luck of the flop to win the pot. They just take it. Here Neil with the 2 5s on the button. Makes a standard raise. Now Colin with the 2 jacks. This hand could bowl very well for Colin here. He's got 1.3 million, as you can see, in chips. Neil with 2.2 million, but unless he flops something here, he's not going to have that many chips after this hand, that's for sure. This is definitely going to get 3-bet.
I would imagine, just based on how he's been playing, I think Colin's probably just going to jam here. But no,
I
never
think he's
mind.
going to bet about 200,000 more, meaning about 250 or 300,000, I believe, is what he's going to bet.
Mhm.
And looks like he's betting right about that amount of money.
It's be interesting Neil's spot here.
Yeah, 305,000 is the bet. So even just a slight more than I would have suggested. So it's 200,000 more for Neil to make the call. Now he can afford to make it, but do you want to make it and then you give it up when the guy makes a C bet on the flop if you don't hit a 5?
I think he's more considering whether to fold or shove all in. He kind of just has to make a determination of how often Colin's bluffing here. And if he thinks it's a reasonable amount of the time, he's going to go all in.
And he does. He's moved all in, and he's going to get called.
Yeah.
And Neil is going to have to outdraw his opponent right here. Well, you said he might do that. That surprised me a little, I got to tell you the truth, but all you young guys think alike, I guess. You know, I would have rather called there and still had $2 million left and played from there or fold the hand. Now comes queen at 9-8. Not good at all for Neil. Gonna have to have a 5 to win the pot. Doesn't come on the turn. And just like that, from the outdraw with the king deuce for all his money just a moment ago.
Now he's got over 2 million, 2.7, wow.
We see Colin jump way up in chip count to 2.7 million. He was literally headed toward the door just a moment ago. And now all of a sudden, he's starting to believe, hey, this is going to be my day and my tournament. I think you see the frustrated look on Neil's face.
Yeah, he's questioning it, but I think it's a reasonable decision.
Yeah. I suppose you can't fault him.
Yeah, and it kind of has. It is player dependent too. You know, if he's played a lot with him and he's been 3-betting a lot from late position, then.
And Colin could 3-bet easily there with ace-10 suited or ace-jack, where he's going to give it up to a shove.
Yeah, or or be flipping, so.
Or be flipping.
Now Neil's in under 20 bigs, so.
Well, he was about down there once before at this final table, so.
Yeah, he came back from a short stack, so.
So Colin has moved into a strong second chip position now, nearly 2.8 million after winning the last 3 pots in a row. There's not much sweeter than having to double up at the final table and then do it again just 2 hands later. See Giannis playing this hand. Neil having a few drinks of beer after that last hand. But as you said, you know, I'm not sure you can really fault him too bad for the way he played it.
No.
Unfortunate his opponent had the big overpair and wasn't in a race situation. What do you do now if you're Colin? You've won the last 3 pots you played. Everything's going your way. Anthony's raised in front of you. And now you pick up the queen jack of diamonds. Because he's the chip leader, you just call. That's what he's done.
And Troy will probably come along here with 9-8.
I would think he would. I would if I was in this spot.
Yep.
And he hadn't been afraid to play. You know, we've seen him play a lot of hands here. Make a lot of continuation bets, both on the flop and the turn. So I don't see him getting away from this hand before the flop. It's another 60,000 to call. But there's nearly 300,000 in the pot, so. And obviously the potential of what you could win if you get lucky and hit a flop could be substantial.
Oh, it looks like he's going to 3-bet.
Wow. Yeah. What a play this is. Well, I said he wasn't afraid to bet. Look at this. How about this play by Troy? Man, oh man, this guy's a mechanical engineer. Well, this engineer is not afraid to move those robotic arms out to the middle of that pot, I can tell you that. What an impressive bet here by this guy.
I would expect Anthony to call here. He's got a very good hand on for his button range.
And I wouldn't expect either one of them to call. You just wouldn't think the guy's going to make a move without a hand here. You could easily be dominated. But the funny thing is, if Anthony makes the call, there's a good chance Colin might call as well.
Yeah.
Because the pot odds will be so substantial that you might just take a look at a flop with the queen jack of diamonds in that spot. So really, it's all key to what Anthony does here, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And as we said, some of these young guys, this is the kind of hand they 4-bet with.
Yeah.
You know, if he could pull the trigger here and 4-bet with this, and I see him do it with king queen more than any other hand. You know, they do it with ace-5 suited a lot. King queens, those are the hands that these guys 4-bet with. If he could pull the trigger here, that would be extremely impressive. And again, he's staring him down like he's got a big hand.
Wow.
But he got away with it that time. And because Anthony didn't call, that reduces his pot odds. So I just can't see him continuing here, but maybe he will. Well, it's another $250,000 to call here. Now, if there's any chance Colin could read him and move over the top of him, that would be just double wow to me.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that king queen fold.
I'm not so surprised. Doing $250,000 to make the call. The big chip leader. You're in command. You know, you don't want to give away half of them by being dominated. And you hit a card and lose the pot. But I'm fascinated with Colin here. He has yet to muck this hand.
Yeah.
Could he possibly contemplating the raise?
Possible. I think he's just debating whether to call or not.
Well, he's staring at the guy. He's asking him questions. What have you got?
Yeah.
Wants him to talk. I think among the players at the table, I would rate Troy as the weakest poker face. And I've thought several times he's tried to look very intimidating, very strong when he's really not. But Colin gives it up. I thought they might both fold there. Now, I don't care if you're rooting for Troy or you know him or you don't know him. If you're a poker player, you have to appreciate guys that earn their pots, guys that win pots without having the best cards by making a play. He just put on a perfectly executed squeeze play there without having a hand. Just well done.
Yeah. And Neil's raise with the 10-6 was very creative and good as well.
I agree. We're seeing some good poker here, honestly.
Yeah.
Very impressive. They're not afraid to bet. Anthony will be betting this hand for sure. Like 110,000. Fold it around to the big blind. And he's got one of those hands you're talking about. The queen jacks, the queen tens in this spot sometimes like to come over the top, but Giannis is just going to call here and look at a flop. And it's come ace-5-5.
Probably just going to see a check bet fold.
That's what I would think. I think you have to make the C bet here. You just can't give your opponent a free card to beat you in this spot in case he's got 8-9 suited. Something like that. mean, so many times you got to make the continuation bet and just hold your breath and hope your opponent doesn't make a play on you or have you beat. But there's just too much money out there to give up. Well, 60,000. It's just a very small bet.
Yeah.
It's the kind of bet that really sharp players pick up on and say, you know, because it's just a beg me to take the pot away from me style bet. That very tiny bet like that, you know. And
it has to do with the board texture there being so dry. There's no draws that he can have. And if he doesn't have an ace, he's like not liking it, whether he bets 60 or
But you
100.
can make like a min raise there. Bet to 120,000, 150,000.
Probably not going to work because you don't really represent anything except for a 5. All your strong aces would just jam pre because he has under 20 bigs. So.
Well, you're right about that, but just like
I think if you really wanted to go for it, you'd have to raise flop and then bet big on turn or jam turn or something like that, and that's really risky because Anthony could easily just have an ace.
Now Anthony raises it here with the king, queen of spade.
He's getting a lot of good hands. King, queen, king 10 suited, king, queen suited.
And Troy's not getting a lot of great hands, but he's sure playing them well. Even the hand he lost, I like the way he played it. Well, down come the sunglasses. That means he's going to play the pot. Now, if you play it in position here, do you just call, or do you 3-bet with the ace-5?
Yeah, my standard would be to call. But it looks,
and he gives it up. You think he didn't raise there because he was up against the chip leader?
Yeah, I guess.
Giannis could well shove over the top all in here, couldn't he?
I think a 3-bet's got to be better than a fold.
With the ace-5
yeah.
spot. Yeah, I would agree with
that.
that.
I think folding's the worst option there. And these 7s are probably just going to jam.
Yeah. The difference is had Troy 3-bet there, the 2 7s are liable to be in the muck.
Anthony's gonna call here, I'm pretty sure. Giannis only has 12 big blinds.
Yeah.
King, queen suited.
500,000 more to call, another 10 blinds. I agree with you. I think Anthony will call. There's just too many hands he could have, like a pair.
Yeah.
You know, 7s, 8s, 9, 10 jacks. Ace jack suited, well, you're not that big a dog.
And once in a blue moon, he'll have a hand like king jack suited or something, queen jack suited maybe. I mean, Anthony is chip leader, and he's going to be perceived to be opening quite wide, so I think those hands are in there.
You're getting the right price if he's got ace jack suited, ace 10 suited. You're still getting the right price to call. So it'd be unlikely if he throws his hand away, especially because he'll still have chips.
There's the call.
And he does make the call, so we have another race situation.
Oh, 7
and
in
a
the
7
window.
right in the door. And now if you're Anthony, you're rooting for the 5-6. Well, there's the 5.
And
the 6 comes, they'll chop it, but no, the queen comes off. 3 7s are going to win the pot, but you can't fault Anthony for making that call. I think he did the right call. Just didn't work out for him, didn't win the race.
A lot of short stack survivals here. It's like the third short stack.
Seems like that's the way it always is at final tables.
Right.
Especially if you're sitting there at the final table, hoping somebody goes out. They never do. But just so many times when you're close to the money in a tournament, all the short stacks double up. Everybody hovers around. They stay alive.
It's very
stressful. And if you're one of the short stacks, it is frustrating.
Yeah.
And certainly at a final table where you're moving up in substantial money, plus getting one step closer to taking down the title, you definitely want everybody to go out at their first opportunity.
I think everyone at the table wanted to see the king-queen win there, except for Giannis.
It's the way it always is. At a final table, you're always rooting for somebody to go out. You know, Colin's got the 10s. So he'll be betting about 110,000, I'm guessing. It's taking a long time to do it. Just can't imagine he's not going to do it. And exactly as we predicted, 110,000.
Troy's got another hand, but I have no idea after that ace-5 suited fold on the button what he's going to do here.
Well, this is the exact hand I went broke with in this tournament, the ace-9 of spades.
So, just no one
Aces,
wants to
nines,
call.
and a nut flush draw.
Yeah.
And I was up against 3 sevens, and that was it for me. But well, I think we're gonna have another race situation here, just like we saw a minute ago.
Yep.
I'm guessing Giannis is gonna
Right
shove
after,
here.
right after doubling up, yeah.
I would move all in with this hand if I was him.
I think so. Could also just call. Cohen's raising under the
He
gun.
moved all in. I don't blame you. I'd have moved in too. And Colin is going to call. We're going to have another race situation. Well, Colin wants to know how much it is. Is there a chance he could fold 10s here?
Small chance. I mean, there's that's a lot of big blinds represented there. 26 big blinds. So it'd be a really careful fold, but
I just can't imagine you can fold where if you lose the pot, you still got 1.4 million to play with.
I mean, he's sitting comfortably in second right now, so.
I mean, it's so easy to be up against ace, king, or ace, queen in this spot.
Yeah.
He's got a call.
Yeah.
And he does make the call. And again, we have a race. Well, Giannis must improve his hand to stay alive in the tournament. Let's see if he can do it.
Wow.
And he's flopped the joint.
It's an action flop.
But he's up against 3 10s. So what a flop that is. It would all gone in no matter how it was played, trust me.
Yeah.
Giannis has flopped the best hand possible. Got to dodge the full house.
No one's got a spade, so just board pair. Nope.
Does not pair. So Giannis lucky there to stay alive, wins that race. Tough luck for Colin, but
back-to-back double ups for Giannis. That's from short stack to, I think,
I don't
chip
think
leader.
the 2 10s have won a pot at this final table. But what a flop. And if you'd have whispered to both players, would you like to see a king, jack 10 flop? They'd have both jumped out of their seats and said, yes, give it to me.
Exactly.
So Giannis has moved into the chip lead by just an ounce over Anthony.
Yep.
By doubling up there twice in a row, he's doubled up now.
Goes from short stack to chip lead in 2 hands. Crazy swing.
That's twice at this final table that the short stack has doubled up not just once, but twice out of 3 hands.
Yeah.
It happened to Colin. It's happened to Giannis. We said it before. We can say it again. How sweet it is. You're at the final table and double up in consecutive hands.
Yeah.
Just doesn't happen very often.
Troy's got another big hand.
Yeah, Troy will be playing this pot. As far as he hasn't pulled down the sunglasses yet. If the hand's too big, he doesn't need the glasses. Doesn't need to read anybody. He's going with it. Doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah.
But he's pulled him down every time he's going to play a pot, so maybe throw him away. I don't know what he did with him. Oh, here they come.
There they go. Yeah.
Just a little bit later this time.
Wow, and Giannis has ace king. Got some
Giannis
big
has
hands.
doubled up back-to-back hands, once against Troy.
Yeah, he's checking out the other stacks at the table.
And he's got too many chips now, I think, to move in now, even though he's chip leader.
Yeah, I know.
But he's definitely going to bet about 350, 400,000. I'm guessing 400,000 at the bet here.
Calling is an option too. Troy raised a full 3 big blinds from under the gun, so let's see what he did.
I don't think calling's much of an option. I think the question is, do you bet 400,000 or do you move all in? But don't ask me how to play ace king. I've lost more money on ace king than all the other hands put together in no limit hold'em. I promise, than all the other hands. And he does 3-bet it. See how close I am to the 400,000 number. $300,000.
I think it's 380. Yeah.
Oh, so it is close to 400,000. Well. Wow. What do you do now? You get a couple million in chips. You're up against the chip leader here. The guy has just 3-bet you.
No.
He's going to throw 2 jacks away. I think you just got to put it in, don't you?
Yeah.
5-handed poker.
I would think so.
Or at least make the call and look at the flop.
Yeah. He's made some very surprising folds, though.
Folding can be no option here, in my opinion.
Yeah, there he goes. All in.
Well, he has gone all in. Now, Giannis, I think, are you forced to make the call with ace-king?
Yep.
Yes, you are.
Not happy about it.
So, again, another race. Wow.
3 hands in a row for Giannis.
All the races in a row. Could the guy possibly win 3 races in a row? Or the law of averages about to catch up with him? At the final table, could you possibly win 3 all-ins in a row in a race situation? Well, he's actually not all in. He's got a few more chips than Troy, so he won't be eliminated whatever happens to him, but he'll be back to the extreme short stack if he doesn't win with his ace-king. And it's come 10-10-6. So far, so good for Troy. As we said, the law of averages could catch up with Giannis right here, and they have.
Yep. Big double up for Troy.
A huge double up. The mechanical engineer has taken the chip lead here and taken it in a massive style.
And Giannis is just on a roller coaster right now. He just went from 600 to 1.3 to 2.6, back down to 600.
Unbelievable. The short stack to near the lead to the chip leader, back to the short stack in 3 hands. Boom, boom, boom.
Crazy.
A left, right, and a left, just like that.
Yeah.
We're going on a break now?
Yeah, it's a 15-minute break for the players right now.
All right, everybody, 15-minute break. Come back and join us. Exciting final table here at the Party Poker WPT Caribbean Poker Championship event in Punta Cana. We'll be back in a moment. Done. Just going to see what happens on the next street. When you call there, you're automatically going to fold on the next street. Now 2 deuces come off.
This is a bad card for Anthony because his jack no longer plays, and if he's up against a king, he has only 2 outs. So if Troy were to bet again here, it might work. Reaches pretty quickly.
he's putting his opponent on a straight draw or a flush draw. You don't want him to draw for free. If he does have 2 queens, he might lay him down if you bet.
Exactly.
So a lot of positive reasons for betting here. Troy doing just that. Now Anthony knows really all he can beat's a bluff, virtually. Tough decision for Anthony here.
Yeah. There's a lot of draws out there, but he's in really bad shape if...
Troy's trying to look real strong here. Now, normally when a guy tries to look like that, where he stares you down, tries to look strong, it's a tell. And usually a guy has opposite of what he's trying to send off here. So Anthony, it looks like he picked up on that to me. And the guy's trying to look real strong. He's normally not. I expect this to go check, check here.
Yep. Troy might have some hope that he can win at showdown here.
Yeah.
He can beat ace-jack, jack-10.
The opponent could have a flush draw.
Yep.
Could have a straight draw. He could easily have a jack-10 in this spot. So you have check down value with the 2 threes. And it does go check, check. And Anthony's going to win this pot with 2 queens. Well, deuce is full of queens, but it's the queens that win it for him. And certainly I don't think you can fault either player for the way they played that hand.
No, yeah, it was a well-played hand by both, I think.
Yeah. You know, when you're sitting here and you can see the hands, and you say, that's exactly the way I would have played it if I'd have been sitting in either seat. Now in the sunglasses at the table here.
Chip leader at a final table.
Chip leader at the final table.
Yeah.
Neil going all in here.
Wow, and he's going to get a call from Colin.
Yep, I'm certain Colin is going to make the call. And Neil is going to have the best hand he can have against Colin's hand. I mean, when a guy calls you, he's smiling. He knows he's in a race.
Yeah,
You're happy to be in a race in this situation. It's the
saw
best
Neil.
position you can be in.
Neil just laughed right after he saw his hand because he knows a fake flip.
You don't want anybody to call you, but when they do, this is what you want them to have. And there you go. You've outflopped him.
Yep.
Neil now with 2 jacks, taking the lead. Colin's going to have to hit Flint to Saginaw on the river, 30 miles. He needs a 10. Doesn't happen. So Neil is going to double up. This guy's going to be a force before it's done with.
Yep.
He's far and away the biggest lifetime money winner among these players at this table. There's $2.95 million in career earnings in live tournaments. That's pretty strong for a guy in his 20s.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the next highest guy at the table has less than $500,000 in lifetime earnings. Some of the biggest names in poker have won that tournament. Daniel Negreanu, Antonio Esfandiari, Gus Hansen, Joe Hashem. So that's one you would love to win. I don't think the prize money for the winner of that event's ever been under $1.4 million. So that one's worth winning. There's the PMU France WPT National Deauville event on December 8th. Just an 1,100 buy-in. December 22nd, a WPT National Thailand event. In case you're in Asia for the holidays.
And Cambodia after that. January 6th.
WPT National Cambodia now. So World Poker Tour is certainly global now.
Yeah.
Big time.
I don't think I've ever seen a tournament in Cambodia.
Yeah, it's our first one, I believe. But Asia is going to be the new boom of the poker world. And WPT now has events in China, the Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia. We're there. And these guys are there all in a race situation. No, a dominating situation. Ace-Jack versus Ace-10. Neil, the heavy favorite here. And the flop comes 4-3-3. I assure you, Stephen would love to see a 4 come out there where they would split his pot.
More,
they can split it with a 5 now.
Yeah.
Split it with a deuce or a 4.
Deuce, 4, 5, 10. Nope.
But an 8 comes off. So that is going to do it for Stephen Woodhead from Chesterfield. He is going to be our 6th place finisher. Came to the final table on the short stack and went out in 6th chip position. He'll take home $66,000 for his efforts this week. He won a package on Party Poker to get here, so certainly a very profitable trip for him. You know, a little depressed now, but, you know, when he's in the bar tomorrow and flying back home and he's got another $60,000 in his pocket, he's going to be a very, very happy guy.
Yep.
30-second time limit to act on their hand, and we gave them 4 time buttons, we called them, where they had an extra 30 seconds that they could throw out there and get additional time. Certain times you do need more time, but that's what the time buttons are for. McCullen's going to go all in here with a king deuce.
That's pretty, well, it's blind versus blind.
Yeah,
okay.
he's only got 12 blinds, and Troy has made the call here. Troy with the best hand, ace high, and ace 8. Colin needing some help to stay alive. Doesn't get it on the flop as it comes.
He's got some diamonds.
9-4. Got a backdoor diamond draw, backdoor straight draw, and hits a king on the turn. And on the river now, the only way Troy can win the pot must catch an ace. Doesn't happen as a 10 comes off. So there you go. Colin outdraws his opponent to stay alive. His hopes of becoming a WPT champion tonight are right there. And there is no better feeling when you outdraw somebody for your tournament life. Just ask me. I did it 4 or 5 times last week in Montreal. It's never happened to me in my entire career of 30 years playing in tournament poker. And don't rely on the luck of the flop to win the pot. They just take it. Here Neil with the 2 5s on the button. Makes a standard raise. Now Colin with the 2 jacks. This hand could bowl very well for Colin here. He's got 1.3 million, as you can see, in chips. Neil with 2.2 million, but unless he flops something here, he's not going to have that many chips after this hand, that's for sure. This is definitely going to get 3-bet.
I would imagine, just based on how he's been playing, I think Colin's probably just going to jam here. But no,
I think he's going to bet about 200,000 more, meaning about 250 or 300,000, I believe, is what he's going to bet. And looks like he's bet right about that amount of money.
It's an interesting Neil spot here.
Yeah, 305,000 is the bet. So even just a slight more than I would have suggested. So it's 200,000 more for Neil to make the call. Now he can afford to make it, but do you want to make it and then you give it up when the guy makes a C-bet on the flop if you don't hit a 5?
I think he's more considering whether to fold or shove all in. He kind of just has to make a determination of how often Colin's bluffing here. And if he thinks it's a reasonable amount of the time, he's going to go all in.
And he does. He's moved all in, and he's going to get called. And Neil is going to have to outdraw his opponent right here. Well, you said he might do that. That surprised me a little, I got to tell you the truth, but all you young guys think alike, I guess. You know, I would have rather called there and still had 2 million left and played from there or fold the hand. Now comes queen at 9-8. Not good at all for Neil. Going to have a 5 to win the pot. Doesn't come on the turn. And just like that, from the outdraw with the king deuce for all his money just a moment ago.
Now he's got over 2 million, 2.7, wow.
We see Colin jump way up in chip count to 2.7 million. He was literally headed toward the door just a moment ago. And now all of a sudden, he's starting to believe, hey, this is going to be my day and my tournament. I think you see the frustrated look on Neil's face.
Yeah, he's questioning it, but I think it's a reasonable decision better than a fold.
With the ace-5 in the spot, yeah. I would agree with that.
I think folding's the worst option there. And these 7s are probably just going to jam.
Yeah. The difference is had Troy 3-bet there, the 2 7s are liable to be in the muck.
Anthony's gonna call here, I'm pretty sure. Giannis only has 12 big blinds
Yeah,
King queen suited should be good enough.
500,000 more to call. Another 10 big blinds. I agree with you. I think Anthony will call. There's just too many hands he could have, like a pair.
Yeah.
You know, 7s, 8s, 9, 10 jacks. Ace jack suited. Well, you're not that big a dog.
And once in a blue moon, he'll have a hand like king jack suited or something, queen jack suited maybe. I mean, Anthony is chip leader, and he's going to be perceived to be opening quite wide, so I think those hands are in there.
You're getting the right price if he's got ace jack suited, ace 10 suited. You're still getting the right price to call. So it'd be unlikely if he throws his hand away, especially because he'll still have chips.
There's the call.
And he does make the call, so we have another race situation.
Oh, 7
and
in
a
the
7
window.
right in the door. And now if you're Anthony, you're rooting for the 5-6. Well, there's the 5.
got
the
a
6
shot.
comes, they'll chop it, but no, the queen comes off. 3 7s are going to win the pot, but you can't fault Anthony for making that call. I think he did the right call. Just didn't work out for him, didn't win the race.
A lot of short stack survivals here. It's like the third short stack.
Seems like that's the way it always is at final table.
Right.
Especially if you're sitting there at the final table, hoping somebody goes out. They never do. But just so many times when you're close to the money in a tournament, all the short stacks double up. Everybody hovers around. They stay alive.
It's very
And
stressful.
if you're one of the stroke short stacks, it is frustrating.
Yeah.
And certainly at a final table where you're moving up in substantial money, plus getting one step closer to taking down the title, you definitely want everybody to go out at their first opportunity. It's taking a long time to do it. Just can't imagine he's not going to do it. And exactly as we predicted, 110,000.
Troy's got another hand, but I have no idea after that ace-5 suited fold on the button what he's going to do here.
Well, this is the exact hand I went broke with in this tournament, the ace-9 of spades.
So, just no one,
I had
no one
aces
wants
and
to
nines
call.
and a nut flush draw.
Yeah.
And I was up against 3 7s, and that was it for me. But well, I think we're going to have another race situation here, just like we saw a minute ago.
Yep.
I'm guessing Giannis is going to
Right
shove
after,
here.
right after doubling up, yeah.
I would move all in with this hand if I was him.
I think so. Could also just call. Cohen's raising under the
He
gun.
moved all in. I don't blame him. I'd have moved in too. And Colin is going to call. We're going to have another race situation. Well, Colin wants to know how much it is. Is there a chance he could fold 10s here?
Small chance. I mean, there's a lot of big blinds represented there. 26 big blinds. So it'd be a really careful fold, but
I just can't imagine you can fold where if you lose the pot, you still got 1.4 million to play with.
I mean, he's sitting comfortably in second right now, so.
I mean, it's so easy to be up against ace, king, or ace, queen in this spot.
Yeah.
He's got a call.
Yeah.
And he does make the call. And again, we have a race. Well, Giannis must improve his hand to stay alive in the tournament. Let's see if he can do it.
Wow.
And he's flopped the
That
joint.
It's an action flop.
But he's up against 3 10s. So what a flop that is. It would all gone in no matter how it was played, trust me.
Yeah.
Giannis has flopped the best hand possible. Got to dodge the full house.
No one's got a spade, so just board pair. Nope.
Does not pair. So Giannis lucky there to stay alive, wins that race. Tough luck for Colin, but
Back-to-back double ups for Giannis.
Hi, I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Andrea. Estamos súper emocionadas de estar aquí en el Hard Rock Hotel y Casino en Punta Cana para Party Poker WPT Caribbean.
Okay, what did you just say?
I said we're so excited to be here at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino for the Party Poker WPT Caribbean.
And we absolutely are. This place is amazing. There are beautiful beaches, so many fun experiences to be had. I can't wait.
But the real action is right here on the felt, with a $1 million guaranteed prize pool and a shot at the WPT title.
So how would you say "see you soon" in Spanish?
Nos vemos pronto.
Play WPT brings true competition to online poker.
Are we on?
I think we're back, yeah.
Well, there you saw a glimpse of the WPT Champions Cup. One of these guys' names will be engraved on it. I'm thrilled of just getting my name engraved on it myself. Is it on there yet? I don't think so, but
They'll get to it soon, I'm
yeah,
sure.
I'm happy about it. In the meantime, welcome back to the live stream of the Party Poker WPT Caribbean Poker Championship. We are down to 5 players fighting it out for this title. Youth has prevailed here. All 6 players at this final table in their 20s. 5 remaining in the championship. And the current chip leader is Troy Kenville from Tecumseh, Canada. A mechanical engineer. That's what he majored in.
Wow, it just folds King 8 on the button there. It's kind of surprising.
Well, probably a good move. Colin picked up ace 8 of clubs.
He had a feeling, I guess.
Had a feeling. You go with your gut.
Wow. All in for 21.5 bigs. Ace 8 suited. Dang.
Now Colin moves all in and takes down the pot.
That's a spot I kind of like limping and letting my opponent abuse. You know, Troy's going to be raising a lot over his limps. So you win a little extra chips that way most of the time. But he went with the straightforward, just give me the pot play.
There you see the chip leader, Troy Kenville. 4.1 million in chips. The winner tonight, taking home $335,000 in cash. Well, that actually includes the seat in the season-ending WPT Tournament of Champions. In case you're wondering where Tony Dunst is, I'm Mike Sexton taking his place, sitting alongside Dylan Horton to bring you the action. And Tony's still playing in the Party Poker Millions tournament. That's a $2 million guaranteed tournament. So Party Poker has stepped right out there for their events down here in Punta Cana.
Yep. Big
Putting out
guarantees.
big guarantees. Amazing property down here. Unfortunately, it rained the first part of the week. Finally had some sunshine today, which everybody was glad to see. But, you know, in poker lingo, it's just a bad beat that the weather's been like this.
I didn't expect it to be this rainy and gloomy.
Yeah, but it's just a phenomenal property, as you saw the vision of the property, the pools, the beaches, the palm trees. It is paradise when weather is good down here. And it's going to be paradise for one of these guys no matter what happens. If there's a storm outside, they're not going to care. One of these guys is going to become a WPT champion for the first time. All right, Anthony going out, Colin out as well. As you can see. Now Troy has the chip lead now. He won the big race a minute ago where he took the lead. And do you play 6-5s on the button? Do you raise? Do you put pressure on? Giannis is so short, he's just liable to shove with anything. I don't think he's going to shove with the 3 deuce though.
Nope. And Neil's going to get a walk with a really good hand. And he tortures himself and sees it. He's going to see if he...
Now, if I haven't looked at my hand, they give me a walk. I don't even look at it.
Yeah, a lot of people
all
don't.
All it does is aggravate you.
Yeah.
You can never get better. If you just shove your cards in, you're happy to get the walk and you have chips. But if you look at it and pick up kings or aces or queens, and now you're depressed because you didn't get any action. So I think you're far better off to never look at it. Just take the pot and remain in a good mood.
Yep. But my curiosity always
Yeah.
gets me, though.
Everybody looks. I'm one of the few that don't look.
Yeah.
Just content to get it.
I just can't help myself.
Yeah. Chip leader folds. Well, 2 walks in a row, but you certainly can't blame the small blind either time for giving him the walk.
No. 3 deuce, 7 deuce.
What is Laxon?
Laxon?
Yeah, you know what Laxon is?
No.
Troy listed his hobbies: golf, hockey, and Laxon.
Oh, like relaxing.
Oh, relaxing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it? Oh. Well, Troy says that's his occupation.
So he's a professional relaxer.
Relaxer. He's going to be able to relax a lot more if he wins this title.
Yeah.
Laxon. Okay, that's new to me. I like it, though.
Neil's going all in here over Troy's open. Ace 9. Pretty standard.
Well, there's a nice bet by Neil. We've seen him make some nice plays here.
Yeah. He's played very well.
I thought he might have got a little carried away with 2 5s once, but you said it was the right play probably to move all in with the 2 5. But
I don't know if it's right necessarily.
he's up against the 2 jacks.
Yeah.
And it cost him a lot of his money.
Yeah. It's definitely aggressive, but I don't think it's terrible.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's terrible either. Don't think it's terrible either. He could have been in a race situation if he got called and his opponent.
Or he could have gotten a fold. The guy could have been bluffing and picks up 400,000.
Right. You're in pretty good chip position and give away 1.4 million when you're completely dominated. Just frustrating anyway. It doesn't matter how you played it. All right, back to the action.
Another blind versus blind situation. Last time Colin just jammed with the ace 9 or ace 8 suited. This is a pretty similar hand, pretty similar spot. And again, I would like to see him limp because I think Troy is going to raise a lot, and then you can jam and pick up some extra chips when he's bluffing, which is going to be really high percentage of the time.
Well, we saw Troy make a big squeeze play a minute ago against the 2 guys that had chips. Really was a good play.
Yeah.
With just a 9-8 offsuit, and it worked out well for him. So let's see how Colin's going to play this. He's going all
just
in.
Doing it again.
Yeah, just going to ship it all.
I don't really like it.
Takes away all the bluff possibilities.
Yep. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, it's a king 9. This is too fine.
And this is the kind of hand where I really would expect Troy to raise it if Colin had limped.
Yeah, and you're right about that.
Yeah.
Which he would have done.
Probably.
But I don't think you're going to put in $1.3 million with a king 9 offsuit like that, and he didn't. He lays it down. So
the downside is, of course, is that if you limp and he does
get
check,
outdrawn,
you can let him get there for free with stuff, and that sucks. But I think,
or if he gets all in with you, and then outdraws you, that's not good either. But
yeah,
you can't worry about that. All you can do is get your money in with the best hand in poker.
Right.
Very quiet table. Nobody talks here. Nobody smiles.
Just
Playing
business.
For a lot of money.
Yeah.
You just don't get to these WPT final tables very often, folks, I can tell you. When you do, you want to focus, you want to play your best. You want to give yourself at least the best chance to win.
And Troy's got a very playable hand here. He's just going to shove, yeah.
He's going all in against Giannis.
And
Giannis with the 7 deuce is defenseless.
Yeah.
It's just so frustrating. You just can't pick up a hand when you're on a short stack.
Right. And those are the kind of spots that you're looking for as a short stack, you know.
Kidding me?
Troy's
the guy had 9 high and moved in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need
dream
much
to pick up any kind of king or ace high there where you could get it in.
Yeah, you don't need much.
Boy, oh boy. Giannis doesn't have much.
Yep, he's down
That's
to
for sure. Blinds are 30 and 60,000, as you can see.
just 7 big blinds left. And this is a good opportunity for Troy and Anthony both to pick on the medium stacks here and be opening when they get opportunities.
Yeah. It's all about strategy here.
Yep.
You know Colin and Neil aren't going to get involved unless they have a truly premium hand in this spot.
Yep.
Because you're going to want the short stack to go out first, so you move up in prize money. And the prize money starting to move up substantially on each notch now. The next guy out gets 80,000. But the guy after that gets 105,400. So
$25,000 just for one elimination here.
Yeah. So the money starts moving up substantially, and obviously 335 on top is what they're shooting for. But still, as a player, 25,000 will get you a lot of entry fees into some more tournaments, you know.
It's a lot of money.
So you just don't want to gamble recklessly at this point. You could jeopardize moving up in pay anyway. No action. Everybody just sort of biding their time patiently to see what happens to Giannis.
Yep.
Giannis, poker player for 5 years. Used to own a fish and chip shop. From Birmingham. Birmingham is where the plane took off. The party poker plane flew 300 players down here to Punta Cana on their own private plane. Now, how strong was that? Were you on that plane, though?
No, I was not on that plane.
You're not on that plane. Why are you going to be on that plane? That's for Englishmen. But that is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it looked really cool. And I can imagine that they had a good time, too.
Oh, boy, oh, boy. Can you imagine the party on that plane? They're celebrating, drinking on the way home, over, and then they'll be drowning their sorrows on the way back. So, but really is just fantastic what Party Poker has done to bring all of these players down here to this luxurious resort, the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Punta Cana. Have an opportunity to play for this kind of prize money.
And Giannis is all in, and he's going to get a call here from Anthony. I'm surprised he's even asking with the ace-9 suited.
No, you pick up an ace high, you're going to go with it in his spot.
Yep.
As you said, the guy's got like 6 big blinds left, so he is dominated. Ace-9 against the ace-3. So Giannis, who briefly took the chip lead for one brief second. The very next hand, he picked up ace-king and lost the race there to the 2 jacks.
He's going to need some runners. There's one.
And right now,
5 or 3.
Needs a 3 or a 5 to stay alive. Doesn't happen as the board pairs 4s. So Giannis LaParis from Birmingham is going to be our 5th place finisher. He's going to take home 80,000 for his efforts this week. So another Party Poker qualifier. 5 out of the 6 players at our final table won packages on Party Poker to come to this tournament. Just phenomenal.
Yep.
What an opportunity it is for these guys. Gotta love it. And we are down to our final 4. That's the lone American left. Anthony Augustino. Troy's bringing down the glasses. He only brings them down when he's playing.
Yep.
So anybody's going to raise with this hand in a 4-handed poker game for sure. Lines are 30-60. So 125 is a very standard raise of a bring-in bet. Of a bring-in raise, I should say. And that's going to be interesting to see what Colin does here.
Yeah, yeah. He jammed in this spot earlier with 5s.
Every player at the table is jammed with a small pair so far.
Yeah.
Nobody's called with it.
And he
everybody
just hit a pay jump, so
has moved all in.
Well, he does call this time.
And now he's called.
Interesting.
You know, that's what I would do. I would look at a flop myself.
Yeah.
The young guns, they're more aggressive. They like to move in. We've seen move in on every spot so far, other than this one here. Now this hand is just going to be a check bet fold, and we're going to move on to the next hand most likely. But
Yeah.
it's another 125,000, and it's certainly enough to get the job done. So Troy Kenville extending his lead. His special talent is blading. Now, does that mean
rollerblading?
Rollerblading? Does that mean ice skating? What does that mean, blading?
I would think it's rollerblading.
He's a Canadian.
Okay, maybe it's ice skating.
All right. So we don't know. Likes to play golf, though. So right now he is enjoying this final table, I can tell you that. Chip leader with 4 left. All right, Dylan, who you taking here? You taking 2 guys with the bushled hair, or you taking 2 guys with the short hair?
At this point, with the way the chips are, I'd take the bushled hair.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah. See, you always go for the chalk.
But yeah, I think Neil's the most experienced, and I think when he gets chips, he's dangerous. He's the short stack right now. We've seen Troy and Anthony play awfully carefully in spots and be very patient.
And Neve Farrell, the guy you're looking at there in the glasses, certainly has the most live winnings at this table by a long margin. Has 2.95 million in career live tournament winnings. For a guy in his 20s, that is just impressive.
Yep.
It's pretty impressive for a guy in his 50s, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah, Troy's got a big hand.
Yeah.
Expect him to 3-bet, although he could call here. Anthony's under the gun. He's been playing pretty snug. And he's the second biggest stack, I believe. So it's a bit of an awkward spot. It'll be interesting to see what he does.
Oh, I think you're going to raise here for sure. So I'm guessing he bets about 375 or 400.
Looks like he went 360.
He didn't get to 400, that's for sure. 360 is the right amount that he's bet.
And this is a spot where Anthony could call with a hand like 10-9 suited.
Well, it's another 235,000 to make the call, but he's got the chips. He can afford to make them.
It's a bit awkward because of how short Neil and Colin both are. So he's got to be thinking about that in his mind. But he's got the kind of hand that you want to see a flop with. Given how he's been playing so far, I think he's probably just going to fold eventually. But
so far, that's what he would do. Everybody's taking sort of the conservative route when they've gotten 3-bet here.
Exactly.
By folding after the 3-bet.
We saw him fold king-queen earlier when Troy had the 9-8 in the big blind. And he was on the button that hand, so that was really surprising fold. To me.
This is the kind of hand you like to see a flop with, and he is going to call.
All right, got a
So
big
we're
one.
going to have a flop here. All right. Now you're playing Anthony. Anthony, as we said, the lone American from Fort Lauderdale, now living in Las Vegas, but not going to like that flop.
Not really the action board we want.
If you're sitting in Troy's seat, you're just not putting your opponent on small cards like that. You're just not
Right.
going to do it when he calls a $200-some thousand raise. You're just not going to do it.
Right.
I stand corrected. It's not a $200,000 raise. It's just a chip raise.
Yeah, that's a good point. Given how people have been playing, he probably doesn't have any, you know, 4s or 5s in his range, really. So could have hands like 7s, 8s, 9s, things like that. So
Troy's bet 235,000. Not a big bet into the size of that pot.
No.
But obviously Anthony defenseless, can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So well done by Troy. And just shows you don't have to bet the size of the pot to get the same information that your opponent doesn't have anything. He bet a third the size of the pot there. And it was plenty to get his opponent to fold.
Yeah, he's just trying to fold out the queen jacks and 10-9 suiteds and hands like that.
Yeah. But in case your opponent's got a pair of 8s or a pair of 9s in that spot where they're going to play when you bet there, you know, you'll pretty well know what they have if they call you there or raise you there. So then you save the money that you didn't bet,
right,
in terms of a large bet. Well, Troy going to keep the pressure on. Raise on the button with the queen 9 offsuit. 125,000. And I don't see Anthony playing this hand, and he doesn't. So the rich get richer. It's a common tale in life, as in poker.
And Troy's got about half the chips now.
Pretty good spot to be in, that's for sure. We asked Troy what's he going to do with the money that he wins here. He just said spending the money is the easy part. Winning it, that's the tough part.
All right, well, it looks like we're going to be joined here by Mr. Dunst, Mr. Tony Dunst.
Yeah, Tony Dunst, Mr. Raw Deal himself.
So I'm going to...
Our normal live stream superstar. On a break in the tournament, I guess. Hope he didn't get broke. We'll find out in a minute here. But Dylan, he's going to join us for a while here.
Yep.
So
I'm going to pass over the headset to Tony. And
all right, thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Tony, please tell us you're on a break. Don't tell us you're broke. Okay, he said yes, he's on a break. All right, everybody. So he won't be here long, but he is here.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So welcome, Tony.
All right, thanks, guys.
We
Good
are
to be
down to
here.
4 players here in the Party Poker WPT Caribbean Championship. There's your chip leader right there. It's Troy Kenville from Tecumseh, Canada.
Bunch of 25 to 29-year-olds at this final table from what I saw earlier.
All 6 players in their 20s, Tony.
Yep, really in that golden age of professional poker players right now.
The young guns prevail. And 5 out of the 6 of them won packages on Party Poker to get here, so that's pretty impressive.
No surprise there. Party Poker made an enormous emphasis on satelliting players down to this great stop at Punta Cana, and it has really turned out in great numbers here.
They not only satellite them where they won packages, they got a private plane and flew 300 of them down from Birmingham, England, so that was pretty strong.
Quite a picture they took outside the plane, too. There we are. And now Farrell.
Right. Neil going all in. I don't know how well you know this Neil guy, but he's got $3 million in lifetime career earnings in poker. That's impressive.
Excellent player. Won an EPT.
Yeah.
Maybe a year or two ago, I want to say.
2015, he won one.
There you go.
Also cashed in the 1-drop this year at the World Series.
Known as, I believe,
Finished 8th,
Feraldo online.
Yeah. But all these guys, I'm sure, have successful online careers as well. Certainly in Europe and Canada and most places around the world, you can play online poker still. And unfortunately, in the U.S., it's not the case, but just in a couple little states. So very sad.
Segregated market right now.
And there's a lone American at the table, Anthony Augustino, who folded.
Otherwise, what are our nationalities around the table?
We have a couple Canadians in the heat. We had a Scottish guy. And let's see where they are from now. So Troy's from Canada. He's left.
Canada, Fort Lauderdale.
And Scotland. Neil's from Scotland.
Yep. Okay.
So there you go. Very diverse group here.
It's actually not too far of a trip from Canada down to Punta Cana. We did it overnight in just a few hours after you won your tournament in Montreal.
There's not much difference in flying to the States from
No.
Europe, at all.
We just
same thing.
raced back to the hotel, all through our stuff and our luggage.
That was fantastic.
Got to the airport. Yeah, we made it happen.
And impressive. It was non-stop flight from Montreal to here. So it wasn't an easy catch. So Punta Cana, a very popular vacation resort, especially the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Amazing property here. And
massive
obviously,
property.
A lot of Canadians love to come down here.
Yeah. Troy going to raise up ace-8 on the button here.
And so far, everything's gone Troy's way at this final table. Anthony came to this final table as a good chip leader. Anthony, the lone American. I'll ask you a trivia question about Anthony in a minute, see if you know the answer.
Well, he defends Jack-10 here, and it is ace-8-7 on the flop. So gut shot for Anthony, but top 2 for Troy. About as good as it gets when you raise ace-8.
Well, not a big bet.
I think if Anthony had a club, he would probably continue in some way here. Sometimes this is an interesting spot for players to check raise when they have a club, because you anticipate your opponent's going to bet ace-8-7 with so many different hands, and a bunch of them just have to fold if you check raise, and you still have outs to the nuts with a 9, or if you hit a club, you can represent the flush. But I think without one, Anthony will probably just fold. I'm not really sure. I don't know too much about his playing style, but
well, so much in implied odds in terms of he puts in 100 and a quarter, he's got a chance to win himself a few million.
Okay.
So he does make the call.
Yeah.
He is going to gamble, and if a 9 happened to come off, which it didn't, we would have seen a massive pot.
And I think part of the reason he calls on the flop, even on this texture, is he intends to bluff if his opponent checks back on the turn. He's just going to bluff a whole bunch of rivers and represent that he had an ace or that he's value betting an 8 or something like that on certain runouts. But certainly on a 7, I think we can expect Troy to bet and Anthony to give up.
And that's probably what's going to happen, even though you're really not crazy to see a 7 if you're Troy.
Yeah.
Fearful a guy might have
Yeah, that's
one.
right.
But still, we have not yet. You have just got here, of course, but Troy has been non-hesitant to bet in almost every situation so far. He pulled off a perfectly executed squeeze play earlier at this final table when he was in the big blind with 9 high. It was a beautiful thing to watch, and I would expect him to bet here for sure. He has not checked to give his opponent a free card.
Yeah.
Any time at this final table, I can tell you that.
Anthony's stuck here. There's not really much you can do.
I mean, I don't know if you're stuck. It's an easy lay down here, it looks to me like.
Yeah.
But anyway, the trivia question about Anthony. A few years ago in the WPT World Championship event that Mad Marvin Rettenmeyer won.
Right.
Okay. There was a guy at that final table named Trevor Pope.
That's right.
Okay. Somebody in the crowd came in dressed as a Pope for that final table. That person happened to be Anthony.
That's right. I ran into his friend Seth today, who was also in the field in the 5K. We played some hands together, and he was telling me about that they were all at that final table together for Trevor Pope.
Yeah. And I got news for you. It's the greatest Pope outfit I've ever seen.
Was it?
He looked just like the Pope.
Wow.
I mean, it was fantastic.
Which Pope are we talking here?
I don't know.
The newest one?
You know, yeah, no.
He's dude's
It was the one
pretty
before.
new.
I don't know. The one before this one, I believe.
Okay.
But he just looked fantastic in the Pope outfit. But I thought it was pretty clever that he came in that for,
I like that.
for his friend named Pope and added some excitement, but didn't phase Mad Marvin Rettenmeyer.
No, it was his tournament.
He went on not only to win that tournament, he won the very next WPT event as well, I might add.
Following season. All right. Neil's going all in here with ace-10. I don't believe he found any takers at 30-60, especially with that big ante. You see a lot of players just go all in pre-flop. There's so much out there to win. You know, he increases his stack over 10% by winning that pot pre-flop.
I like to play myself with ace-10s and ace-9s and just shut them all out.
Mike, you are due to depart Punta Cana tomorrow, I understand.
I am.
Yeah.
I have to go back because for a long time I plan to go back to Columbus, Ohio this weekend and going to watch the Ohio State-Michigan game. Very excited about it.
That's the one, isn't
Yeah.
it? That is the one.
That is the one. Go Bucks.
Yeah, okay, I'll take your guys' side this time.
There you go.
Hell with Michigan. You guys both those teams beat my Wisconsin.
Oh, and
right
we're
now
both
is number 5 in the nation.
But Wisconsin played them both very tough.
Super
I got news
tough.
for you.
And
We had to beat Wisconsin in overtime, and pretty much the same with the Michigan game. It was close.
All right, here we go. Anthony with an ace-deuce suited, raising it up on the button.
You know you have to do it with that hand.
Yep.
You know you hate to do it when the chip leader's in the big blind, but now one thing we've seen at this final table, virtually every time guys get small pairs, they've gone all in.
Here we go, yeah. And you know what, I really like that for the most part. When you're dealing with small pairs like 30 blinds or less, they're so awkward post-flop. You really just kind of want to rip it pre-flop and put people to a very difficult choice. And that's exactly what's happening here. And Colin with, 19 blinds has played this perfectly.
Yeah. And every player's done it so far at this final table. That's how Neil lost a very big pot, I might add. He had two fives, but Colin had 2 jacks in that hand. But for the most part, everybody's done it that way. When they played the small pair, they just ship it.
It just goes to show when the blinds and antes, and particularly the antes, are really high, poker becomes a pre-flop game, and there's so much value in taking down pots without a showdown. So you see guys rip these hands that don't really seem that good, and if your opponent folds, you're gaining so much immediately without having to take the risk of elimination.
Well, I know it well because just last week in Montreal it was the same situation. The blinds were high. You didn't have any chips to bet after the flop and on the turn and on the river. So if you played a pot, mostly it was either 3-bet all in before the flop or, bet all in before the flop. So that's what happens. It becomes shove poker, as we say. You just got to get lucky in the right spots.
Troy here is in the small blind with 8-6. I don't know how he plays that well, but I'm guessing he's going to complete. Kind of the type of hand that people mostly complete with. Some possibility they can flop well post-flop.
Now, this is interesting.
I think Neil's just going to rip. Oh, interesting. How much is he playing? It seemed close to me. Wow. Oh, that is the flop, isn't it? 8, 7, 6, 2
some action
diamonds.
here. Neil does have the king of diamonds to go with his open-end straight draw, but Troy with 2 pair
And he's got the
will be
cards.
going nowhere.
Neil's not that deep either.
Yeah.
We could see a lot of chips get in here.
If indeed he happens to shove here or get some chips in this pot, he's going to have to outdraw his opponent to win it for sure, because I don't see Troy going anywhere. And he gives him that look, but he is going to reach for chips here. Just a matter of how many. Looks like he's just going to call.
Is that what he did?
He just calls, so we're going to see a card. Now
Oh, yeah.
Now the problem with calling, though, in that spot, that even if you make the straight, you're not going to get any action on it.
Yeah.
Because people are going to put you on a straight. But now, with the open-end straight and the flush draw both, interesting to see how this hand develops.
I'm guessing Neil will bet. Because his opponent would bet whenever he had a 7 or like a straight. Interesting. A little surprised by that check. I wonder if I'm just not thinking through this hand very well.
And it goes check, check, and now it's going to be too late for Neil to bluff this pot to win it.
Part of it is he just has a very awkward stack where if he bets the turn and his opponent shoves, he has to fold a hand with a lot of equity. Whereas if he gets to the river, he can usually play it pretty well in
Why would you
position.
bet here if you were Troy?
If you're not Troy, I'm saying Neil on the turn.
Neil.
I was a little surprised that he checked. I think if he had a whole bunch more chips, he would always bet the turn. But because of his stack, it's really awkward where he could bet and his opponent could shove and then block out his equity.
Yeah, Neil just waving the flag here to save his chips.
Yeah.
And once he checks on the turn, I don't think he has any bluff value on the river. I agree with you there.
No, he can't represent very much for value on the river, not on that board. But that could have gone very poorly for him. I mean, if he just, plenty of players just look at that flop and they're like, hey, I got a bunch here. Maybe my opponent will fold 1 pair and go all in. And obviously that would have ended in tragedy if he had approached it that way. So, like you said, it's always a little awkward when you're calling on the flop there, but it's kind of one of those lesser of 3 evils. Like, obviously you can't fold. If you raise, you're like, okay, am I calling off my stack if he shoves? Because we're really short here and I actually have a lot of equity in this pot. So you're just kind of left with call. and you're not even happy.
No,
that
I mean
happy.
Troy. I think he's defenseless if his opponent bets on the turn there. And that, I mean, his hand shriveled up to nothing.
Yeah.
He's out kicked even if his opponent's got 2 8s now. So he was in a very tough spot there if his opponent bet that turn card in river for sure. But once he checked on the turn, he was never going to throw the 8s away in the river. And Troy getting the cards. Raise it up here and take it down. So tell us how you're doing in the Party Poker Millions tournament.
Very well now. I have 83,000 going into 501K. The re-entry period is over, so I think we are going to see some overlay on this tournament. And I'm probably about, let's see, 1.5 times average. I do probably have the toughest table in the room. A whole bunch of regulars landed there.
Oh boy, here we go again, folks.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're on the toughest table.
I know,
all
everyone
the
thinks
time.
they're on the toughest table. Actually, I think I lean the other way. I'm like, oh my God, everyone's playing so absurd. No one's doing anything reasonable. But like this one, I'm on a first name basis with a shocking amount of people.
Oh, yeah.
And I look around the room and I see a lot of unfamiliar faces. I see a lot of guys I know who are just here to have some fun. And I'm on a table full of guys who all have serious final tables to their resumes. So.
And probably no chance for the table to break up soon either.
Actually, I'm on the edge, so I think we will be one of the first to break.
Oh, that's
so
great.
My game plan for the first couple levels is kind of take it easy, see if we broke, preferably not have to re-enter, but if I do, okay, fair enough. But instead, I just hit
all
some
right,
nice
look at
top
this.
pairs. Ooh, here we go.
Neil has gone all in with Kojak.
Yeah.
Anthony is out. And Troy just quickly gives it up.
Yep, and I think that's a real good shove by Neil. That might be the very worst hand he shoves, King Jack.
Yeah.
And I think it's, exactly what he should be shoving there. Every now and then you see somebody rip King 10 if they think.
And a good lay down by Troy.
Yeah, if you think Troy is really opening crazy, sometimes people rip King 10. But King Jack's normally where they cut it off, and that's a well-played hand. All right. Action back with Neil. Oh, he's got another real hand.
Definitely going to play this one. I'm guessing it's going to be 125K to go. And that's exactly the bet he makes. It's pretty much a standard bring-in raise bet for everybody at the table, 125. Oh, this could be interesting here.
Uh-oh.
Troy looks down at ace-10 on the button.
Yeah. I think we are going to see a coin flip for all of Neil's chips. Troy might even just rip on him. I'm not sure exactly how much the big blind has, but nobody on this table has that much besides Troy. Here we go. All of it in.
He does go all in with it.
Yeah, I like this play. Neil's going to
This
call.
guy's
And
a snap call by Neil. No thought, no hesitation.
let's see
Got the mid pair, he's just going with it.
who's the luckier one of the two.
We've had a lot of races at this table. And here's another one.
In a way
This
that-
one for Neil Farrell's tournament life. Will the snowman hold up or melt away? A good flop right there for Neil.
Yeah,
Top
good
set.
flop.
Obviously, Troy with the gut shot straight draw with the backdoor flush draw.
Okay. Down to the river.
Yeah, Troy looking for a 9-ball in the corner pocket. Doesn't happen as the 7 comes off. But Vince, Tony, excuse me.
Of course it happened.
I love that about
Yeah.
Neil in that he didn't stall around for, 5 minutes and then decide to call. He just snapped, called his money
Yeah.
off. Didn't even bat an eye about it. This guy's got some game. You can tell that for sure.
Didn't hoot and holler when he won a coin flip at the final
And
table or anything.
He lost
you know,
a
it's
huge
just-
pot a minute ago. He didn't
Yeah.
react adversely either. He's
just
got a
very
very good
professional.
temperament at the table. Yes, he does. Yes, he is. And now he's going to be a strong force here. He's moved into second chip position with 2.4 million in chips, and he just whittled down the chip leader.
Yeah, he is the most experienced player here, especially in terms of live final tables.
Yeah, by far.
So that's never what you want to see when you're one of the opponents of a guy like that. You're just like, okay, ace or 10, ace or 10.
Well, obviously the other 3 players rooting for the ace or 10 also.
Right. Yeah. Not
You
only
always
that,
want a
just the
guy to
money.
go out where you move
Yeah.
up substantially in money and you're closer to the
There you go.
playing heads up for the title. So anytime the short stack is all in at the final table, everybody's rooting for him to get out that's sitting at the table.
What a big flip, though. I mean, yeah, it was only 20 blinds each, but it was 25% of the chips in play. And if Troy wins that, I mean, he's got second place 3-1, and he's got third place 5-1. He's in such a beautiful position. And instead, you know, yeah, he's still chip leader, but really it's anybody's game right now.
Tony, you've been around enough, long enough to know that invariably it seems like the short stack always doubles up when you're near the money, when you're at the final table. I mean, they just never go away easy.
And the chip leads are much more fragile than you think they are.
Boy, are they ever. You know, I mean, I don't care if you're chip leader, doesn't matter. You never feel like you have enough money when the blinds are this big, I can assure you.
In order for me to have like a chip lead that feels safe, I need to have, I don't know, like 800 big blinds, something completely absurd. You know, I've had that maybe once in my career. And you know what? It was in our WPT Korea, and I played so many crazy hands in the first few levels. I went from 30K to 200K at the point that we were playing like 100, 200, and I got busted on the first level of day 2. Like, and I didn't spew it off. I mean, just bad stuff can happen in poker for a lot of chips. I spewed it off one hand, but the rest was just dumb stuff happening.
Yeah.
So
Coleman could shove right here, I'm guessing.
here we go.
Yeah, that's what he's going to do. Everybody that gets paired just moves in. And so far, it's been the right thing to do in every situation but one.
You know, another thing to think about when you're calling, you have a pair of sevens there. Yeah, you got 20 blinds. That's a lot to just open rip. But when you're four-handed and there's these these payout jumps for the next elimination, what you don't want is to raise and then somebody shoves ace-9 over the top of you and you call and you have to play this coin flip where there's a very real chance that you get eliminated and end up in fourth, even though you're gaining like a very small amount of chips when that happens. You're gaining a small amount of chips, but you're actually losing money because you're incurring the risk of being eliminated in fourth instead of just shoving and having all those hands like ace-9 fold to you.
Yeah, and all the pay jumps start to get big now. Next guy out gets 105,000. Third place, 140,000. Second, 220, and the winner, of course, the 335. Now what do you do with the Queen 8 of spade?
I think I just open it and fold to a shove, but I'm not thrilled. He's a little over 20 blinds. That seems like an awful lot to open shove. Here we go. Yeah, I think this is the right play. Because you do also want to have some hands that are inducing the shove. Like when you have aces and kings and ace-king and stuff, you want to be able to raise small, and then somebody goes over the top and you call.
Like 120 is the raise here.
Yeah.
The men raise.
So in order to balance that, you need some hands that raise and fold. And instead, he's just going to run into a pair of eights from Troy, who is about to pound Colin here.
Yep. Definitely going to pound on him for sure. We know Troy's going to play the pot. Probably going to raise it, just a matter of how much. And he normally just moves all in this spot. At least that's what we're seeing him do. He's just not afraid to bet. And he does raise it. It looks like he just raised a couple 100,000. The blinds folded, and Colin quickly folds right behind him, so Troy picks up yet another pot.
Yeah. Doesn't go into a shell just because he lost a pot. That's good stuff. Well, Mike, thanks for taking over for the day. And
all right, Tony, I know your listeners out there are saying, where's Tony, where's Tony, where's Tony? You get Mike today, that's all.
Yep.
I busted out. Tony's still playing, so you get me.
Okay, and I appreciate the brief stop in to come and watch some of the action.
Tony, you're always welcome there, and we don't want tragedy to fall on you out there, so we don't want to see you anymore. But in case we're still here on another break, come back and see us.
Definitely. Sounds good.
All right, Tony.
Thanks again.
Good luck to you. Tony Dunst, ladies and gentlemen. Out playing in the Party Poker Millions, which is $2 million guaranteed tournament, so big prize money at stake out there as well. All right, Neil looking down at 2 6s here. Makes it 125,000 to go on the button. Anthony out, Colin with one of those what do I do hands. Do you call? Do you shove? He's going to do it. He's going all in over the top of Neil here with the ace-7 offsuit. We saw Neil make the snap call a minute ago with 2 8s. This is not a snap call, but I think in the end he will make the call. He is that tough. He wants to know how many chips Colin's got. And he does make the call, and we have yet another race.
Living the dream right now.
Wow. We've had more races at this final table than Jesse Owens ran in his life. And an ace and a 7 both hit on the flop for Colin. And then a 6 on the turn. Unbelievable. Wow. Colin flopped the top 2 pair. Then the 6 came off on the turn, giving Neil 3 6s. And that is going to do it for Colin Moffat. He is going to be out in 4th place. He'll be taking home $105,392 for his efforts here this week. But right now, he's in a bit of a shock after flopping the top 2 pair and then going broke to a 2-outer. So there you go. Good luck there for Neil Farrell, and we are down to 3 players fighting it out for this championship. Well, Colin Moffat still licking his wounds after flopping 2 pair. He thought it was going to be his. His hobbies are music. He likes to play the guitar and the piano. And right now he's going to go listen to some blues, I can promise you. So, folks, you're stuck with me right now for a while because Dylan Horton has decided to go enter at the last minute in the Party Poker Millions. I can't blame him. It's a $2 million guaranteed tournament. Big prize money on the line there, so he's trying to go after it. Too Many Dunce has been playing in it. Still there. So them or somebody else may join me here in the booth, but if not, I'm happy to go with you guys by myself till we get to the finish line. Only 3 left. Fighting it out for this title. Well, with a pretty good hand, 3-handed. Just limps in and calls with the king, jack of spade. And Neil with a small pair. He hadn't seen Troy limp today, except one other time, I don't believe. Now what do you do with 2 3s? He does not raise with him. He just calls, going to see a flop. I believe he would have got action had he called. Oh, look at this flop. Ace, queen, 9 with 2 spades. And Troy with a straight flush draw is going to lead right out and bet. And I don't see Neil putting any more money in this pot, nor should he. Now, he's not really buying his opponent's got all those big cards because he didn't raise before the flop, but wow. I'm surprised at this. He has made the call with 2 3s. Remember, his opponent limped in. That's all he's thinking about right now. Now an 8 comes off. Will Troy fire another shell? If so, he could easily win this pot. If not, he might not. He's got such a big drawing hand. He might fire yet another shell. Fearful his opponent's got 2 queens or 2 9s. Or a small pair that you might get him off of. And one thing we've noticed about Troy, he's not afraid to bet his chips. He is doing it here. Good for him. Didn't want to wait to see what he drew to win the pot by checking it down. Just took the bit by the horns, fired out there, took down the pot. Well done. But Troy's, I mean, Neil's instinct's pretty good there to me. Ace, queen, 9 flop, and the call a bet with 2 3s. Next up on the televised WPT tours, our event at Bellagio in Las Vegas, December 5th through 10th, the main event. And Troy picks up a monster. 30-60 blinds with a 10K ante. So 120,000 to play 3 hands of poker, and that's if you fold all 3 hands. And Neil with the ace-queen here. This could get bloody, folks. I could easily see all the chips going in before the flop. I'll be shocked if it doesn't happen, in fact. Shocked. I'll be shocked. For sure, Neil's going to 3-bet it, just a matter how much, and it doesn't matter how much. Troy's going to ship the rest of it in, and Neil's going to call. So I don't believe it makes any difference how they play it. I can't see all the chips not going in. There is the 3-bet by Neil to 375,000. As you can see, another 255 for Troy to call, but he's not calling here, folks. He's going to rip it. This will be throttle forward after all the meditation is over. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in for a treat now. Joining me in the booth, Simon Trumper, the legend himself, in the house here. Simon, welcome here. We're down to 3-handed here.
Oh, fantastic.
And look at this hand right here. Neil is just 3-bet with the ace-queen. And I said, I can't imagine Troy is not going to ship it all here. He is the chip leader of the 3 remaining players. And he's not going to ship it. He's certainly going to raise it.
How's the betting gone so far?
Well, he raised on the button. He got 3-bet out of the small blind by Neil's ace-queen, and now he is 4-betted. It's got to be probably close to $1 million. Let's see how much it is. Might be 880,000 is the bet, so another just over $500,000 for Neil to make the call. I don't see him just calling here and throwing his hand away. He's either going to ship it, play the pot, or could he possibly release it? I just don't see him getting away from it. Playing 3-handed poker, you're just not going to get many better hands than this. Well, he goes all in, and he is going to get called, and just as we predicted.
Wow, this is the key pot, isn't it? I've walked in at the right time here.
Well, you sure have. A dominated hand, as we say. Troy well out in front here. If he wins this pot, we'll be playing heads up, and Troy will have a substantial chip lead, but can Neil get lucky? A queen right on the flop. Unbelievable. Wow. 2 6s. We're down to the river. Troy's got to catch a king. Nothing else will do for him. You have your opponent dominated like that, and now your 7%er is all to win the pot. Lady Luck shining on Neil Farrell right there. I can tell you that. He knows it better than anybody in the room. Well, it happened to me last week in Montreal, so I understand completely. When you draw out for your tournament life, there's just no feeling like it, you know. Yeah. And to do it at a final table with 3 players left, where you're the chip leader now, with a great shot to take home the title. Wow, does he have to be walking on water right now?
And who's the 3rd player at the table?
Is the lone American at the table. Anthony Augustino is the 3rd player at the table. He came to the final table as the chip leader.
Did he really?
And as you said, he is good at also, because anytime somebody's all in and at risk at a final table, everybody's rooting for him to go out that's still sitting there.
And there we see the chip leads. As you say, Noel Farrell is now way out in front with 6.8 million chips. Anthony Augustino finds himself in 2nd place with just over 2 million, and Troy Canaville was down to under 1,810,000 with 14 bigs.
Those were the 2 big chip leaders going at it there. Neil outdrawing his opponent to take the huge chip lead. We still have 3 left.
So what's the next prize jump, Mike? Okay, so just remember what these guys are playing for.
Next guy gets 140,000, I believe.
Yeah, 140 for third. Runner-up gets 220,000. The winner gets 320,000.
Well, plus the 15,000 seat into the WPT Tournament of Champions.
Yeah, gets their name inscribed on the trophy. Wow, what a time to hit that card, gin card.
Yeah,
It's,
sure is.
like you say, it's an impossible situation, three-handed to be folding there with ace queen.
Yeah.
He's probably, that's the one hand he really doesn't want to see. Obviously ace kings, but ace king against his ace queen. But sometimes timing is very important, and in this case, he definitely got lucky. Can't see him playing this hand. Deuce 3 off.
I'm the first one to admit you got to have a lot of luck in these tournaments to win them. Certainly happened to me last week, and it's happening to him tonight. So let's see what happens here. But Neve Farrell, who far and away has the biggest poker resume of all the players at this table, $3 million in lifetime tournament winnings. That is so strong for a guy in his 20s.
Yeah, Anthony moved all in there. Troy folded.
Yeah, Troy is sitting there licking his wounds right now, frustrated, saying, "Why me? Why now?" That's what you say to yourself.
Look at, you can see it in his eyes.
I mean, he owes the trophy and the
blame
mantle. We're almost on his. They're almost on the mantle. The money in the bank. That's what he's thinking anyway.
There's a potential 180,000 swing, isn't it?
Yeah, the look on his face says it all.
When you're playing like a $50 sit and go, you're not bothered, are you? If you hit the guy shoves with ace queen, you snap him with ace king, and then he hits the queen, you're not bothered. When you're playing for 320,000, you're down to the final 3 on a World Poker Tour final table.
And Simon, you've been around long enough to realize how tough it is not only to make these final tables of the big events, but to win one. And you have to cherish the moment and cherish the victory, and they're just so scarce. I don't care if you're the greatest poker player in the world, whoever you think it is, I promise you, they just don't win that many tournaments a year. It doesn't happen. It is tough to do.
It is, yeah. And we've had a great field here, haven't we? The quality of players that have come down to Punta Cana to play this tournament has been exceptional.
Oh, it's just been fantastic. I mean, the job that Party Poker and Dust Till Dawn has done in organizing and hosting and putting on this championship event is just astounding. And all the players that won packages to come down here, 5 out of our 6 finalists at this table won Party Poker packages to get down here. Now, 1 or 2 of them had the package in the Party Poker Million event, but they bought their way into this event since they were here.
Yeah.
And, but still, it is so impressive, the opportunity that this provides players, you know, an event like this. And they're, you know, if you win a package, you're a winner already when you come down. And the rest is just icing on the cake in case you can cash or make a big score. But
and it's guaranteed at $1 million, and Troy will be all in here with his ace-10 suited.
Yeah.
Blinds at 30-60 with a 10K, so he doesn't have to shove with an 800,000 stack.
Oh, I think you do shove with it.
I would, but
yeah.
You know, okay, so he's announced all in, yeah.
Yeah.
No faults. Asking for a count here.
I don't know why.
Must have something. Ace-5.
Oh, ace-5 for Anthony. Now, marginal decision here. You know the guy's frustrated. You know he's aggravated. He could easily move all in with queen-10, something like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So do you call him here with ace-5? One thing you know when you play poker is if you have an ace in your hand and the guy goes all in, unless he's got specifically 2 aces, the worst you're going to be is a 2-to-1 dog.
He's made the call.
Well, he does make the call, and this time Troy has his opponent dominated again. We just saw him lose the massive pot of the tournament so far with ace-king against ace-queen. Could he get outdrawn twice in a row? How depressing would that be for Troy?
Okay, here comes the flop. Deuce-3 gives Anthony a few more outs.
Yeah, 4 gives him a straight, obviously. 5 gives him the lead.
Safe card on the turn. Troy just needs to dodge a 4 or 5, and he gets a double up.
Well, if the board paired, it would split the pot. If it was a 3 or a 9, that doesn't happen. And there is the double up for Troy, and it seems like fitting justice to me that he won that
I agree,
pot.
yeah.
I mean,
So the stack sizes must be pretty similar now.
it's just too painful if you would just take back-to-back beats when you had your opponent dominated.
Troy will be back up to around about 1.6, I guess. And Anthony down to 1.2. And there we see it.
There you go. Simon Trumper, ladies and gentlemen. Look how fast he calculated that. Faster than the guy working the computer in the back room back there.
28 bigs for Troy, 21 for Anthony. Noel Farrell way out in front with 112 bigs.
Now, Simon, you're working this week, I guess. You didn't get a chance to play in any of these tournaments. I can't believe all this prize money laying out there.
I know, I'd love to play.
You could have scarfed it up and taken it in your suitcase back home.
I'm not as good as these players. I know that. But, I don't mind playing a bit.
Don't let it. Now you're trying to bluff your audience out here, Simon. I mean, you want them to all think you're a mug. You know, those that's been around and known you for 20 years like I have, know better.
Come on now. Here we go.
I don't want to kill your action here, though. So he's a mug, folks.
Yeah. Stone Cold Rock. Oh, it's going in here. Anthony with his ace queen. So we had ace king against ace queen, ace 10 against ace 5. Here we have ace queen against ace 5.
I would just ship it with the ace queen myself. Would you?
30-60 has 20 bigs. No, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably re-raise.
Okay.
He chooses the all-in route. I think, you know, with 20 bigs, he had enough to play the hands straightforward. Troy folds 7-8 suited, back to Niall. Now Niall now has the same decision that Anthony had against Troy.
Well,
he's got a commanding chip lead. Does he want to give up potentially 1.1 million? So. No, and he makes the fold. So
even if you are up against king, queen, or something, you know, then the best you are.
Yeah, I think he's a.
You know, the best you can be is $1.50 favorite under any circumstance, and chances are you're going to be a big underdog. And
I think his
why
all
take
in
a risk?
is because he knew the blinds were going up, and also Niall's stack size, which is fair enough. 20 big shove.
It is 80K difference between second and third, pretty substantial, but to say nothing about the opportunity to play heads up for the title. And we all know when you play heads up, it doesn't matter what your chip count is, it's very easy to come back
Well,
and
look
win
at
a
what
tournament.
you did. He's found another hand to press with. Pocket eights. I was watching you till the very early hours of the morning in England.
Yeah, I was hanging on with a short stack at my final table as well for a while.
7 big blinds you came back from. There was 77 big blinds out there. And the
Can't give up, Simon.
No.
You got to be a bulldog when you're down on short chips. You just can't throw them in like a lot of guys do. At least I don't.
Well, definitely worked.
Yeah, and it paid off for me in Montreal for sure. So
Can't wait to see it on telly. It was great watching it stream, but it'll also be fantastic to hear
I
the
can't wait to
commentary.
watch it either, tell you the truth.
Okay, let's see how much she's going to raise. Looks like 160.
Yeah, looks like the men raise here.
Troy quickly folds, obviously
And
hoping
he's
that
gonna
Niall will
take it
take him
down.
on. Niall has ace deuce. He's eyeing up his stack.
And he might want to make a call here. Not sure he'd want a 3-bet with this hand. And he is going to call.
Okay. So we have the chip leader against the short stack heads up to the flop with ace deuce against pocket eights.
And what a flop there for Neil. Flop top and bottom pair. And Anthony in a predicament now. A wise check by Neil. He's setting the trap. Let's see if Anthony falls in it. You can't put your opponent on a big ace in this spot. So I can't imagine he's not going to bet here. If he had a big ace, he'd have got raised back before the flop. That didn't happen, so you're definitely going to bet. You wouldn't want to check to a guy to have a queen jack or a king queen where he might hit one on the turn to beat you. But unfortunately for Anthony, this play is just not going to work.
Well, now Neil's going to play this. I mean, you look at that board. There's no draws, so if he
Well,
raises,
I think
now,
you have to
it's
raise
pretty
here,
much
Simon.
telegraph in his hand.
In my opinion, you raise because if your opponent doesn't have a big ace, he's not going to continue betting anyway on the next street. So you're never going to get the check raise in there. You just have to hope he's got ace king or ace queen here, or he's going to go with the hand. And just as I said that, he calls. So now it's going to go check, check. Or he could give himself a chance to lose the pot. Now, had that been an 8, Neil would have never forgiven himself for how he played this hand. That's the reason I say you need to raise back on that flop. The only way you're going to get action if your opponent has a big ace. If he doesn't, he's never betting on the turn, so you make nothing.
You got a little bit lucky, didn't you, on that hand where the Benny flopped trip jacks. You had the kings, and you turned the king.
Yeah, I didn't get too lucky. The guy folded 3 jacks.
Yeah, on the river. Well, I think it's because the king of spades on the turn.
Well,
so it
there
made
were
a flush
3
as well,
spades,
didn't it?
but you know,
the commentators
playing
definitely-
short-handed.
Yeah, they
you
definitely
know.
thought they would call on the end. But he was hitting like trips for fun. I couldn't believe how many times he hit trip 7s.
Yeah. One of my friends said to me, "How did you ever win that? The way that guy, he didn't give a chip away, and he was hitting hands, and you know." So I don't know. I can't wait to see it myself. I don't really know what the guy had. All I knew is somehow I came out on top. So.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
I think I only had the chip lead for 2 hands at the max. The entire heads-up battle that I played him though. And then the very next hand, he went all in. I found the queens and won the tournament, but he held the chip lead for 99% of the heads-up play. That's all I know.
And Niall's put, Anthony's going to call here. Anthony with ace-6 suited makes the call. So Anthony has the leading hand at the moment with the ace-6, and Niall has queen-9, but Anthony's at risk. We could be going heads up here if Niall can catch a queen or a 9.
He said he pronounces it Neil. Well, King 10-8, so a lot of sweating to be done by both guys still. Neil obviously needs a jack now to make it straight as well. Now a spade would win it for him as well, and a jack. He hits the gut shot straight to win this pot, and that is going to do it for Anthony Augustino, originally from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, now living in Henderson, Nevada.
Wow, unlucky Anthony.
He came to the final table as chip leader, the 25-year-old going home in 3rd place.
And he takes home $140,000, and we're now heads up. So we're heads up between Neil and Troy, playing for a difference of $100,000, $220,000 for the runner-up, $320,000 plus the $15,000 tournament of champion seat, and get your name engraved for Poker Immortality on the WPT trophy. Okay, guys, we're going to take a 2-minute break, and we'll be back for the heads-up action. See you back here with Mike in 2 minutes. Niall Farrell there, our chip leader, 8.1 million. Troy Cannaville with 1.55. See you in a minute.
We're here at the Caribbean poker party in Punta Cana, and I'm joined by Party Poker ambassador Tony Dunst. Hello, Tony.
Hello, what's going on?
You're in the middle of playing the WPT, aren't you?
Yep.
It's going quite well, isn't it?
It's going pretty well so far. I'm on my 2nd bullet, and I just doubled up right before we went on break instead of having to re-enter, so I'm a happy guy for the moment.
It's got to be the best feeling. We're about to go on break. I'll just double me chips. Put myself in a good mood.
Well, especially when that's the cutoff for re-entry. When you're like, please don't make me fire another 5,000 into this and have to play the fresh stack all over again when the blinds are so high, but fortunately that wasn't the result.
Now, you're pretty good at poker, Tony. You've had a few wins under your belt.
Okay.
How does it feel to play in a place like this with the amount of people that come and play?
Well, it's an amazing venue here at the Hard Rock. I mean, it's a massive property, massive property. We have plenty of space in here. I will say that some casinos in the world, you're kind of cramped in the poker room. It's a little uncomfortable at times. Not an issue at all. Very well catered, as you can see. Food, coffee, tea, everything you can think of is here. So they've really done an awesome job of assembling what we poker players want and need for a venue.
Is this the type of tournament that professional poker players like to play because of where it is? Does that add to it for you, or does that actually make it more difficult because of all the distractions?
Well, it's kind of a mixed bag there. Like, there's an appeal of going to that place because it's like a fun, interesting place to go, and if you get knocked out, there's still going to be some fun to do on the property or just hanging out with your friends. But conversely, if you think like, oh, I might play poker the entire time then you also feel bad to like sort of miss out. So I don't know. It's a double-edged sword there.
Of course you want to win, but you kind of just want to go get drunk with your mates.
Yes, exactly. You know, you want to be chilling on the beach, but also you don't want to be out of the tournament. So, but you can think of it as a win-win.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because if you do win all that money,
right,
then you can just
if you
stay
don't,
for an extra couple
yeah,
of weeks.
that too. Stay an extra week.
And I can say he's that professional that there's no gin in this coffee.
No, it's just straight
This is pure coffee.
Just pure, legit.
This man is working.
Yeah, that's right. We are. We're 2 hours into our day, and this is going to be like 10 hours. So we are just getting started here.
Well, you enjoy yourself. I'm going to go to the bar.
Okay. Enjoy.
Good
Have
luck.
fun. Thank you.
Let me know when they are ready. So you will be in this moment.
Okay, so here we are now. Then heads up for the World Poker Tour.
Yeah, Mike Sexton here sitting in for Tony Dunst, who's playing in the Party Poker Millions tournament right now, which I don't blame him for. $2 million guaranteed in that tournament. Along with me, the legendary Simon Trumper. So happy to have you here, Simon.
Yeah,
so happy to be down here in Punta Cana, where you were a big part of organizing this event. You and all of you at Dusk Till Dawn, the Party Poker people, what a job you've done to put on this massive event, and I mean massive.
Okay, so we've seen difference in big blinds, very similar to you last week, Mike, and you managed to overcome that and come back and win the tournament. But at the moment, I would say that Neil is a huge favourite.
Well, he's gone all in right here.
And Troy's called.
And Troy's made the call. So here we go, just like that on hand number one of the heads-up play. Neil out in front with the ace high, up against the king jack of spade. Neil must win this pot to stay alive, Troy must win this pot to stay alive in this tournament.
Okay. Well, it wouldn't, to be honest, wouldn't it be fitting for Troy to just win one where he was behind, the same as Neil did with the ace queen?
Well, an ace and a king come on the flop. Neil out in front. If his hand holds up, he'll be a WPT champ.
Gives him an extra few outs. The 10 would help give him a straight for Troy. Otherwise, Neil is your champion.
King jack or 10. There it is, just like that.
Wow,
one hand of heads-up play. Neil Farrell is our champion. This guy had the most, by far, poker impressive resume at this final table. $3 million lifetime earnings. He's added another $335 to that tonight. But what a performance by Neil. He got lucky when he had to stay alive once. There's a case where his best hand held up.
Yeah, there you see it. WPT champion Punta Cana, Neil Farrell. There's Christian Scalzi, our tournament director, congratulating both players.
But how about it? Let's hear it for this Troy Kenville. I mean, this guy, before you got here, was all in with ace king of spade against ace queen.
Yeah.
He'd have been a massive chip leader playing heads up for the title. Got outdrawn by Neil, who spiked the queen on him to win that pot. And Neil, just this guy's nemesis, outdrew him big time one hand that he had to stay alive.
Two key hands, ace king of spades, king jack of spades. And he lost both of them. But
so that is going to do it. We have a new WPT champion. Neil Farrell adds to his EPT title.
And there you see the payouts for this final table. Stephen for 66,000, fifth Yanis for 80,000. Colin took home 105,392. Anthony, who we just saw come in third, 140,000. The whole thing over in one hand, heads up. Troy Kenville, 220,000. But your champion here in Punta Cana is
And there's the Champions Cup. Where's my name, Simon?
Have they got it on there? It should be inscribed.
Yeah,
Devilfish is on there as well.
Not yet. Oh, yeah, Devilfish on there for sure.
When it was in Nottingham, I was looking across trying to find it. And it's
oh,
down
yeah,
at the bottom
Devilfish
somewhere.
on there.
But, yeah, it's... it'll be fantastic. Mike Sexton, you now are on that trophy, and so is Neil Farrell. He will now be added to that trophy. It really is a who's who, isn't it? There is, like you say, it is difficult to win these tournaments, but we have had over the years some phenomenal players have took down WPT
All right,
titles.
we want to thank all of you for joining us for the live stream. Hope you come out. Go to worldpokertour.com. Check out the future schedule to see where our events are coming up.
Okay, well, it was very short-lived. I hope to commentate with you for a few hands, but thanks for letting me come in the booth, and good luck in all future tournaments. Bye for now.
Yeah, normally we do that for all the winner photos on the main tour, so. Shouldn't be a problem, but I think they say we can do it. Yeah, we normally do it for the main tour, and just have it here with the winner and stuff, so.
As long as we are sure that he's not dropping the table.
Así se vive el World Poker Tour en el Caribe.
Para mí estar aquí es la oportunidad perfecta para escapar de la rutina diaria y venir aquí al paraíso a disfrutar de mi hobby favorito, que es jugar al póker.
The WPT Caribbean is really amazing for me.
I love this place. I love this hotel. I'm very happy for 1 week of party, vacation, and a lot of poker.
I'm here in Punta Cana, and it's a fantastic place. It's so big, so huge, that even the Dutchmen who are big can walk around without bumping their heads.
Me encanta el ambiente, me encanta el hotel, me encanta la gente.
El World Poker Tour en Hard Rock Punta Cana es una fiesta. La gente está muy feliz, está muy contenta y obviamente un torneo como este merecía una sede como esta.
For dynamic online poker, head to Play WPT. It's fun, it's free, it's